Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Somebody, anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It is time, once again, for the Majors series, the Pacific region of this series, the 6th round of the 2024 championship. It's the Dirt Derby at Eldora Speedway. We have quite a long night of dirt racing ahead of us here from one of the premier racetracks in dirt oval racing. It's going to be a very fun night for all, and we'll be able to see iRacing's dirt racing model on full display, as you would see also on SimSpeed TV in ODSE events, but extended out to quite some time with a 100-lap final on the cards here. Bringing it to you live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. It's me, Reese Gardner. Got Scott Rankin and Lynn Kinchelow with me in the commentary booth, with Jay Kennedy handling production behind the scenes. Go to you, for, of course, for Scott. Dirt racing, I mean, it's obvious to anyone who's watching SimSpeed pretty regularly that I do love my dirt racing. What about you?
Well, I mean, I grew up on the dirt, but I had two less wheels was how I grew up with my racing. In fact, I actually won a whole bunch of races at our local speedway track. It was probably my preferred way to go racing. Yeah, look, dirt, tough technical. It's going to be about looking after the right rear tire. You know, when you talk about dirt racing in the real world, everyone's got their own different way to prepare those tires. And iRacing, you're all on the same thing. Maybe it's a little bit of beeswax. Maybe it's a little bit of honey. Maybe they come up with weird and funky things to do to these tires. Well, don't get any of that tonight, and we'll probably be talking about right rears the whole night long.
Yeah, we absolutely will be. Feeding the right rear, obviously a huge thing at Eldora, Lynn, as we check out this premier venue. Of course, it's pretty small when it comes to footprint, as most dirt ovals are, but as far as dirt ovals go, Eldora is actually one of the bigger ones. It is a half-mile in length with 24-degree banking in the turns, 8-degree banking on the straights. And in a sprint car, it's usually flat out all the way around, but we're not going to be racing those tonight.
You're so right, Reese. Tonight, it's going to be pro late models. This is the middle ground of the three cars in this category that we run on iRacing. 358 cubic inch motor powering these cars, and as you see the track right now, it's a little bit torn up because a lot of these guys are having to run a lot of laps. The main thing to keep in mind, as Scott alluded to just a moment ago, the tires are a major concern this evening. We're having to deal with some limitations with the iRacing simulator. We're not allowed tire changes here. And then on top of that, the tire's really, really soft. So it's going to be a case of these initial heats races are going to be really fast, furious, hard racing action for 15 laps, at least in the heats, up to 3 consolation races, which will be about 20 laps long. But then we get to the feature. It's going to be a completely different pace. They'll be running 15-second lap times in the heats and the last chance qualifiers, but we're going to have to back it way down, almost like a Tour de France stage race. Probably bring it around to about 16 to maybe even 17 seconds. Try to take care of the tires. Make sure you have something there for the end.
Yeah, that's something that I haven't seen so far, commentating dirt racing on iRacing. The fact that, you have to take so much care in this event. 100 laps on the cards for the A main tonight. Well, bringing ourselves into the 5th round of the championship, we take a look at how things are in the standings. Christian Challoner on top by nearly 100 points over Ross Banfield. Justin Morton a long way back as well. Scott, Challoner has just been the form person in majors in this region. It seems they're having a bit of trouble beating him consistently, but there's some inroads have been made in the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, what I'd say, is when you look at the format for majors, is what does it challenge? It challenges a completely different skill set, an adaptable skill set, if you will, than any other series on the planet. Why is that a good, bad thing? Well, to some guys, you'll sit down and you go, dirt ovals, I'm a road course guy, this means nothing to me. But it's meaning that you take your skill set and you adapt and you apply it to a completely different style of racing that you're completely unaware of. Oval racing, draft pack racing, TCRs at Bathurst. This is just some of the stuff that we've been through so far, and we're not quite done yet. And there was a mix, don't forget, a GT3, GTP, and LMP2. What that says about Christian Challoner is he's applying himself. Some of these other guys have had a lot of pace at distinct points throughout the season, and that's why they've taken some points back out. But now we're on a different set of rules, a different style of racing yet again. If Challoner can come out and bank some more points, just put points on the table out of tonight, some of his rivals aren't going to be able to do that. That's more margin when we're looking at the back end of the season. So it's about consistency. And if we're talking about a driver that's really, really good on all platforms, Christian Challoner, he comes up over and over and again for a very good reason. It's just because he is so adaptable.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the main reason why he's a multiple former majors champion, Lynn. In the Legends standings, meanwhile, it's a little bit closer. This is the sub-championship for drivers over 50 years of age. And Gavin Barber for Middle Finger Racing is currently on top of that.
As Scott alluded to, this is the major schedule is a massive variety of different events. And as you can see with the Legends, they're really close together, partly because, they're here, they're having a great old time, but also there's been a little bit of bad luck mixed in with all of these events. And here on technically what is an oval event for the majors right here, this dirt is just going to be a complete wild card, and one of these guys could easily, in this top, 5 or even, top 7, if you want to bring Brian McGreevy into the mix, they could easily break out and get a lot of points on some of these guys if one of them slips up and doesn't make the feature.
Yeah, indeed. It could certainly be a huge factor as things go down, as the night format goes on. Of course, going through the format before, we saw just how much of a grueling task this event is going to be. Well, in the Teams Championship, Mega Racing Team is well ahead of Evolve Sim Sports. Middle Finger Racing starting to close in on that second spot there, and we see that everything's pretty close between Udox Lola, Fusion Gold Pacific, and Evolve Sim Sports EH further down in the field. Apart from that, we're seeing some pretty big gaps between the teams, so don't expect these standings to change too much coming out of this round. Not at least not the lead, but still plenty of action to come here tonight in this race that the Majors Series is running in support of Rise Above the Disorder. Go to urrad.org for more information. The goal of Rise Above the Disorder is that mental health care is for everyone. You just need to go to urrad.org and you'll be able to lend your support. It's a mental health disorder charity centered around gamers, so it's certainly a part of our sphere here in sim racing. Make sure to jump onto the website and lend your support if you are able. And a big thanks to the Rise Above the Disorder for joining up with us, and for the majors, of course, for contributing as well through drivers being able to purchase extra qualifying runs. It's the main reason how they support charities here. All right. We're in practice at the moment, and once again, as we mentioned, Scott, the track is looking rather worn in. Now, sometimes in real-life dirt racing, that's a good thing, because it gets to a point where it basically becomes a slick surface and you're able to drive it like it's tarmac, but I think the drivers will be having a little bit more trouble keeping the cars stable on this surface.
Yeah, and you can see them that they're sort of searching around. There is a little bit of a berm right up and against the fence, but that comes with risk, right? If you just barely brush the fence with the right rear corner of the car, it unloads the suspension on the entire car and snaps you back to the right. Then you're in the fence, then you got to stop, then you got to pull the car back down. So as the conditions will transition tonight, what you're going to see, if you have a look at the surface at the moment, you can see a little bit of a rubbered in line. And have a look at one of the things that I was looking back when we got to our track map as well. Eldora's actually got two different really kinds of colors of dirt at the different ends of the racetrack. What does that mean for our drivers? Different grip levels. In terms of a road course guy, if you're sitting along in the background and watching it, what does that mean? Well, think about driving on your freeway. Freeways with cement style, you know, they've got the grooves in it. The sound coming off the road's a little bit different. Grip characteristics are a little bit different. Then you get back over onto the asphalt. The asphalt's a lot smoother. That's a perfect little shot to, you know, you can see it, different colors everywhere. And this is after we've worn that sheen off. Have a look down to the left-hand side of your screen, sort of the bottom left-hand corner. There's different color of dirt in the middle of that corner. Differing level of grip. That's going to change as we go through the night. Right now, everything is slicked all the way off. Dirt is as hard packed as you possibly can do. What does that mean? Little grip. The tire skates across the surface of that. This is where my motocross background really does sort of come in. You want loam. Loam dirt is basically dirt biting into the tire the same way a wet tire operates. It drains into the grooves within the tire, except in the case here of water sucking away and distributing, the dirt bites into the tire. That creates grip. And about physics, everything has an equal and opposite reaction. You want to throw the dirt out one way, that'll throw your car in a different direction. So that's what they're looking for. When there's no loam to do that with, the car slides around, a lot more throttle control that's actually applied. So remember, we're talking about different times and the heats and the features. Tire wear's one, track state is another.
Yeah, indeed it is. And to see a track in as much of a used state as it is, I gotta say, Lynn, it's going to be rather complex as things come into the first of our heats. We are seeing, of course, that there's some strips of fresher looking clay down at the very bottom and very top of the racetrack, but it seems like the drivers aren't that eager to exploit it.
Well, at the moment, it's the last few minutes of practice. They're primarily looking to see what their car is doing in this hard-packed dirt right here. Because as we get later on to the race, this will probably be where the track is, maybe at lap 50 to 55 of the A main. So you're gonna want to see what you could do at this particular point. If you get a little feisty, maybe if there's, you know, a bunch of cautions for the first 20, 30 laps, then maybe you go down there and get some of that fresh rubber, maybe try to get some free positions. But at this point, these guys really just want to find out what their car is going to do at this point.
I think one of the bigger things here, Lynn, as well, is we're transitioning from this track state. We're about to jump into qualifying, and the track state's going to reset again. So all the practice that you've just done on this track, it's difficult, right? Because like you just said, you want to get out there and you want to get some running in on this hard pack, because it's really, really good information to have in the back of your head. But for qualifying, it's a fresh track. Now, you have too fresh a track. There's not enough, there's too much grip, the car won't rotate. So qualifying times could be faster. The lap times that we're looking at the moment is around the 16, low 17 seconds sort of time. You know, that could drop. Our fastest times from earlier were 14.692, 14.7s, everyone down sort of below that 15-second mark. So times could be all over the place in qualifying. That sets heats. That's a big threat there, Lynn.
Oh yeah. And a lot of these guys will have qualifying setups that are part tuned for the absolute fresh track, to where you're gonna see immediately who's gonna be quick as Barney starts waving the checkered flag to end this practice session. We'll send the work trucks out, and they will magically reset this track for us.
I think the big key is keep your eyes on what happens to that track, because it's a big problem for the drivers. It's a big problem. Well, I say problem, it's a challenge. You don't have problems in racing. You have challenges and how you navigate your way around them. Look at all of a sudden that loam just loaded back up and on it. Practice transitions to qualifying. The Majors Series 100 laps of Eldora marks a deep point within the series, is about to get underway. Qualifying underway. They've waited 2 hours worth of practice on a slickening track. Now they get to attack the loam, and you can immediately see the change in the attitude for a bunch of these cars. The rear end not sliding around anywhere near as much. Who's going to have pace early? What does that pace look like? Who's going to come out on top? Len, who have you got your eye on?
Well, right now the cameras, all eyes are on Jake Fox right now. That first lap, that's came in a little late. The telemetry has goofed up a little bit. It is in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, so that's a 15 point. It's in the 15 seconds. We got times. I mean, they're falling all over the place. Everybody's on track at the same time. They get their own individual section of the track to run on. Currently, the fastest time is a 14.782. David Gargano Jr. in the 42. Laying down a fast time. He goes even quicker with a 777 on the 14s.
Joshua Wolf has managed to make his way into the 14.806, so he moves to second place. Ross Banfield just comes through and sets a reasonable time, but not a quick time. Puts himself 6,000ths of a second further back. We're watching Jake Fox. Fox has slid from a reasonably high running order very early on, all the way down into the mid to late 20s. He's going to be towards the back of his heat. Now who's got the time? Coming down to 2 minutes worth of qualifying that's already been eaten through. And we're looking for our drivers. I think the bulk of the field's now set their fastest lap times. Oh, by the way, don't count out Christian Challoner. Quick time to the top of the boards. 14.692. The man can slide it sideways, it seems, Reese.
Yeah, he certainly can. Christian Challoner is known, he's notorious for being one of the most versatile drivers on iRacing. Absolutely love seeing the pace that he has got under his belt. Bruce Jones as well, right up there too. We've got plenty more to come here in this qualifying session. 2.5 minutes to go. I'm seeing some big improvements there from Josh Mertz and Damian Colty. Looks like Jordan Slater making up to it's 37th position that Jordan Slater has just gotten himself up to. It's amazing the pace that we're seeing from these guys, and it's also interesting to see the lines that people are taking too. They're riding the top of the circuit. How long is it going to take in the heats before they start moving further down?
Therein lies the difficulty. Reading the track progression. This is what I love, actually. I was having this discussion about oval racing just the other night with a whole bunch of group of Australian NASCAR truck drivers, actually, on Friday night, and we were talking about it. And I said to the guys, look, probably one of my biggest strengths as a driver, and this is the way that my psychology goes about the way that you attack tracks, is I like to move around. If everyone's running the same group, to me, that's not racing. That's not what it's all about, and that's what dirt's about. You have got to think about where the track is going to go, prep for it, and get there right as the line starts to open up. You're going to see these guys move around, and like Reese just said, top of the track, it's reasonably quick right now. You're trying to hold momentum because the car can nail that throttle right now. But as soon as that slick line wears out, the rear end wobbles, you've got to lift out of the gas, line changes. Then does it become turned down the track because you can't hold the speed up top. So anyway, is what it is, and qualifying's in the books. Man, I'm so happy with that, Reese. That was such a good session.
Yeah, that was a very entertaining session indeed. It was only 700ths of a second, Lynn, between Christian Challoner and Bruce Jones. And have a look at how close Austin O'Neill and David Gargaro are as well. Obviously, the times are close as dirt ovals are incredibly short, but that's certainly a fantastic showing from all of the drivers here tonight. And I have to say, I'm looking forward to the heats now. Bring it on. Let's get this energy going.
Well, we got one car left on the track. Robert Northway has waited till the very last possible moment to set a lap time. First lap time he puts in the book is a 15.081. That puts him about midfield, but more importantly, up next, we'll have up to 3 heat races to set grids. Picks it up a little further. Nope, that last lap he doinked the wall. He doinked the wall at the very end. And unfortunately, if you get a 0x, either by a wall contact or, well, then the time expires and then poof, the car disappears. But as I was saying, you hit the wall, you don't get that lap.
Nope, you do not. Robert Northway will start further down as a result. Well, it's time now to get into the heats. And man, the night is going to go pretty quickly from here, has to be said. Christian Challoner for Mega Racing Team is going to start on pole for the first heat of the night alongside Ross Banfield. Don Dolson is going to start the 04 out of 3rd place alongside Bryce Roberts on row 2. And then we have Stephen Verweyen and Adam Johnson starting on row 3. Joshua Mertz in the number 23 will start alongside Wayne Hutchison, 7th and 8th. 9th and all on his lonesome on the 5th row, Brett Trozen. 9-car field here to start things off in Heat 1. And we have 9-car fields to come in the rest of our heats, at least up until Heat 4. Heat 5 looks like it's going to be 8 cars that will be taking to the start there. But, you know, it might only be single digits, but the action is going to come thick and fast, Lynn. That's what dirt racing's all about.
And when it's dirt racing, you don't need that many cars. Over the summer, we ran the Summer Cup here at the majors, and even though we only had maybe 8 to 12 cars per race, they were still action-packed, so I expect these guys to have a good time. It's going to be a little dicey on this first one, since they are essentially coming onto a fresh track, but we'll see. We'll let them start wearing it out. We'll see where they go.
Yes, I'm sure they'll be pushing as hard as they can here on the slightly fresher surface, Scott. But yeah, they'll have to be careful because it'll take a bit for the preferred line to start forming, and they need that cushion to really determine where they're going to be running.
Yeah, and there'll be a few setup tweaks to that. You'll adjust the car to run a little bit better in the tacky track, as they call it in the terminology as well. Line will be a little bit different. Where do you get the bite? Where do you maintain the momentum? Because that's ultimately, it's all about maintaining momentum. Where do you lose the least momentum, create the most lap times? Generally the way that they go. So look, they'll settle it in. Challoner's quick. We've already seen him quick laps on here. He needs to get clean at the front of the field early.
Yeah, he definitely needs it, and he is away. That is a massive run there from Christian Challoner, and he will lead the way into the opening corners of the race and get himself out to about a car's length of a gap between himself and Ross Banfield. Bryce Roberts following very closely, but into the wall goes Adam Johnson. The number 27 is around, and the caution is out. Usually on SimSpeed TV, we don't have cautions in the heats, but that's not the case for the majors. They're going to make them all wait for Adam Johnson to get it around here, and that's not ideal at all, Scott. It looks like Johnson's suspension has been destroyed thanks to that contact.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do. He is really, really struggling to keep that car underneath him and trying to hit the entry barrels on the way into pit lane. He's just got no turn. Car won't rotate. So his heat's done. He's going to have to go to the LCQ. And what does that mean for him in terms of night? Very, very difficult to make the feature from here. Did he get the wall of his own? He did. So no contact in there. Just ran it a fraction too high, little bit too hot, into the barrier. Night done.
Yeah, just a little bit squeezed there, Lynn, which is hard to deal with. You know, you're trying to control the sideways action of the car, but straighten it up in time for a good run down the straight. And when you've got a car on your inside only giving you a car's width worth of space up top, that's what happens.
And if you weren't running there in qualifying, if all of your information is just back in that practice, if you're expecting the dirt to handle a certain way when you get there and then it doesn't happen, there's not a whole lot of room to adapt to that situation.
You know, and everything can happen so quickly on your way through here. Well, you'll notice that lap 2 is still active because caution laps don't count. The lap counter is frozen while we are under yellow as the pace truck leads them around, but lights are off, so we're going to be getting to a restart in just a couple moments time. Christian Challoner will still lead the way here and keep a very good run on their way through. Ross Banfield will have a second chance at trying to catch up to Christian Challoner here, to say nothing of Bryce Roberts and Don Dolson, who swapped places off the grid and now stand a chance of getting back together. Back on the power we go, and Challoner doesn't get as much of a lead this time around. It was a lot more controlled from everybody else, and have a look, Banfield is challenging Challoner now, who's going all the way down to the wall, trying to shorten the way around the corners, but we'll see if a bit more momentum up high can fall into Banfield's favour, Scott.
Yeah, I was just going to say, have a look at Don Dolson and Bryce Roberts. These guys have really been duking it out. One goes to the high line. Don's been trapped on the bottom trying to make some speed. Now, very early in the run, first lap or so, made some speed to the high side. Roberts is going to pick up some momentum. He's sliding that car really nicely. Dolson's made a couple mistakes, and the grip's just not on that bottom line. Now the momentum swings high. Roberts, sorry, my apologies, other way around. Don Dolson was on the high side of the green car. One around in the back as well. Not quite going to bring out the caution, managed to save it, but Dolson found that momentum high side.
Yeah, and the caution is brought out by Joshua Mertz in the end. It took a bit for that caution to be thrown, but yeah, he just lost it by himself up high and ended up making contact with, looked like Wayne Hutchison, and was slowed down, right down low, Lynn. So no surprise to see that the caution's been triggered once again. This will be, I think, a big feature of the night is drivers bringing out cautions in the heats and making things drag on a little bit. I don't know what on earth has gone on there. It was very close there to see Wayne Hutchison get through.
I think what you saw there with the Mertz car is he saw it wasn't rotating as well as he wanted, so he probably gassed it up a little bit, and then it over-rotated. So we'll take another look at it with the onboard cameras. With Wayne Hutchison right here, he kind of disappears off to the side, and doink.
Ooh, yeah.
Car on your side. I don't think that's done any major damage to the Hutchinson car, but we'll have to see. Mertz is staying out. The only damage I really see is on the nose. And as I take one more look at it on the replay right here, you'll see not rotating, up, over rotating, hit the right rear. And that's just enough rotation for Barty to freak out and throw the caution flag.
Did he hop the lip? I think he might have hopped the lip there.
Maybe. I'm not too sure. He was very high, wasn't he?
I just don't know if there was enough of a lip form, but that nearly looked like he got the car a little bit unstable. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
That's all good. I was just going to say, the track is so fresh, I don't think it's had a chance to start to form the cushion. I'm still seeing nice, fresh dirt all over the place as we get set for the restart.
Yeah. Yeah, gotta wonder, but there is a lot of clay being thrown up high, maybe some loose chunks of it, unsettling the car there as the green flag flies once more, and we're back starting for the 7th lap of 15. And once again, it's a controlled start from Christian Challoner, but Ross Banfield is catching up to him. Remember, the top 3 advance to the feature here. Bryce Roberts has got it all to play for with Don Dolson right behind him, and oh no, there's a problem for Josh Mertz, and it looks like the front right is gone for the number 23. I don't know what's happened there, but he's going to slow down and bring the caution back out again potentially. He's stopped up high, but we stay green, and
there it is.
yeah, just as he escaped back back to the pits. We unfortunately saw the caution called. Now, the number 23 had a very bizarre incident there. Looks like, he got into the wall. He did lose it up high. And, usually I wouldn't expect a hit like that to do any kind of real damage. These cars can take a beating, but apparently the suspension arms, Lynn, were not that strong.
Well, a couple of patches ago, I believe it was a major update, they did change the new damage model on this vehicle, and a lot of the connections were significantly weakened. I noticed it especially running officials with this car a couple of weeks ago. Just if you smack that outside wall a little bit too hard on the outside, it will bend the suspension frame up, and that basically renders that tire unusable in a corner, and you really need both of those right side tires to be able to make the corners.
Yeah, all right. Well, Jay is saying he can show us the issue, and that's that the front
tire?
right has completely come off. Okay, interesting. Well, that would be obviously not an ideal issue there, Scott, but we will have to get back going again very shortly. I have to say, Challoner's doing a good job of holding off the advances from those behind, and Roberts and Dolson, they don't seem separated by much either. They're only getting their racing done in very short bursts here, so that might make them dial up the aggression a little.
Yeah, and you can see the track's already transitioning, so Challoner's already moved down, so he wasn't getting the speed that he wanted from that top line. There's a little bit of a cleaner line forming in the middle at the moment, but nothing either side. No major changes to grip.
No major changes indeed as the field moves away again. Mertz has gotten some repairs done and is going to be pulling back out of the pits in just a couple of moments' time. But there's almost a change for second here as Ross Banfield tries to hold off Bryce Roberts. And big slide from Don Dolson. He's going to light up a move here on the number 21. Roberts almost tipped around. That was so close between them. It looks like a lot of aggression being dialed in here. Just 4 laps or so to go here. And Bryce Roberts and Don Dolson will not be done by any stretch of the imagination here. Banfield getting pressured for second by Roberts. It looks like he's broken free for the moment on the top 3. Let's see what he can do from here, Lynn.
Oh, shoot!
There was a little bit of
Oh yeah,
you saw earlier. Oh, there's a wreck in there.
Oh yeah,
and that'll bring out the caution.
Yeah, that's Wayne Hutchison and Adam Johnson that have come together there at the same time as Stephen Verweyen hit the wall. And once again, it looks like a similar situation to what happened to Josh Mertz. As the front right has just completely gone on him. That's the incident between the two down low. Fairly big hit, and that would have been what brought out the caution there, Scott. The number 27 coming to a stop in the middle of the track.
Yeah, no option but to bring that caution back out there. It's just hard racing. Watch the way that the line... I said that there's probably not a major change to grip at this point in time, but there actually is a reason... Whoa, hang on! Who was that getting into the lane? That was the 8 machine of Stephen Verweyen. Yeah. So he's coming for repairs. And he's got a tire off.
Yeah, because at the same time as the incident happened down low, Verweyen lost it and got up into the wall. That took off his front right tire, and we've seen that happen once before. He tried to get into the pits, but the car just would not turn. So, yeah, I don't think that's the last time we're going to be seeing that tonight.
No, the big key is look at how the car actually unloaded. As he came through the bottom of the corner, the car was rotating really nicely, then straightened back out. So all of a sudden, the car just straightened out. That's what Ford... He had to fight the car all the way up to the wall, and just to try and get some rotation in it, tried to carry the momentum. Sometimes you just got to recognize when you're in a hole and back out.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. You can see that the track is already starting to evolve a little bit. There's a slight preferred line forming and a little bit of a cushion, but they won't be able to enjoy the full benefits of that in this heat. They'll have to wait for their next opportunity to get out on the racetrack after the heats are done. But the green flag flies with 3 laps to go. Can Christian Challoner hold off Ross Banfield? Can Don Dolson get back into the top 3? Dolson is trying his best, but it seems like the edge is with Bryce Roberts at the moment. He's got Ross Banfield to follow. The white flag flies in the first heat here at Eldora, and second, third, and fourth are all together here. Bryce Roberts will try and sneak up the inside of Ross Banfield. Can he get it done before they get the line? Christian Challoner wins, but it's going to be Banfield who wins the battle for second. Bryce Roberts will join them, transferring through into the feature.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, Challoner, Banfield, Roberts gets through. Dolson actually just found where the groove was. Those last couple laps, he just sort of figured out. I'm just starting to notice where it's moving up as well, and that's your confirmation of your results as well. Verwey and Johnson both off the lead lap. Mertz 2 laps down, but first through 6. Challoner, Banfield, Roberts, Dolson, Hutchison, Trosen. So we'll have 3 transfer out of that one onto Heat 2. And I tell you what a cracking battle too, Reese. It changed. It did change quite a lot.
Yeah, it did. It was broken up, of course, by those caution periods, but I mean, we saw some very entertaining racing in those short bursts of action. Hopefully, we'll see more of the same in Heat 2 here, with Bruce Jones starting on pole position alongside Daniel Stevens for Middle Finger Racing. Zach Goddard is going to start in third alongside Mark Miller in the 514. Travis Walling is going to start out of 5th place alongside Robert Northway, who is looking for a good result in that bluey 943. Damian Colty and Sebastian Jackson will start 7th and 8th. The final car on the grid will be the 242 of Scott Kukas. Now, who are we thinking is going to be the favorite for victory here? Because I don't see an obvious one popping out here.
Look, if I'm looking up and down the field, Bruce Jones was just really, really quick in terms of qualifying. I think he qualified 2nd overall in terms of pace on the heat, so very, very good opportunity, Lynn.
I was going to say, keep an eye out on Travis Warling. He's been they've been away for a few races, but now they're back. Got a new computer lined up, and they'll be ready to rock and roll, going Nova on the field here.
Interesting to note that Bruce Jones is hanging back a little bit there on the formation lap. I'm not too sure what the deal was there, but he's going to line up just in time in this number 5 for us to get going for the second heat. Dan Stevens running very nicely there in the MFR number 3. But remember, we've got to keep our eye on 3rd place. That is the transfer spot into the feature. Get on the power, and away you go. Heat 2 is away. A brilliant start from Bruce Jones. They briefly go 3 wide for 3rd, and it's 2 wide for 2nd. Dan Stevens having to make room for Zach Goddard down on the inside. Bit of contact there between Travis Walling and Mark Miller. Walling going up high there to try and get some momentum up. Zach Goddard having a very good run at the moment here, Lynn. Oh, makes contact with Stevens.
Look at that beating and banging. That slowed up Stevens. That allows Warling to get right up on the rear bumper if they had a bumper. Warling going to try to roll the top side right here. As gains 1 position for sure and is running higher than anybody else except maybe that Bluey machine. Counter slides down low. Now he's going to swap. Tries to get underneath the 3 for that. And we get a yellow.
Oh, Dan Stevens would be very grateful for that. He was in a lot of danger of getting past, and after the caution was thrown, looked like Mark Miller had some contact with Travis Walling. So a couple of replays to potentially dissect there, and I'm not sure exactly who brought out the caution, Scott. Regardless, it looks like it was Sebastian Jackson that had an issue somewhere down the line.
Yeah, so right at the back of the field at this point in time, the replay is going to tell the story. Look at the groove transitioning. So he's got momentum up on the rear end, and all of a sudden gets into the rear end of that 34 machine. And the difficulty there, watch what's happening with that groove now. So the guys on the bottom are really struggling to carry the momentum, and we were just starting to see this up at the pointy end of the field as well. The groove has transitioned. I think Walling was running just a touch far high. than everyone else. He just needed to be probably, I reckon, less than half a wheel's width down and he would have nailed the line, but you can just see it all over the track, and this will tell the story a little bit down into turn 2.
Oh, Robert Northway. That's an incident that we've seen a couple of times tonight. Fortunately, the front right stays attached this time for Robert Northway, but he's fallen down to 9th place. That's not going to be ideal for him. Well, now we'll hope that we get a good green flag run in this heat. As another view of the slight contact there for the number 90, and that was what swung him around. Walling was just trying to get it gripped up and it went down on him. They'll form up double file once more for the next green flag run, and fingers crossed this will last more than a few laps. Dan Stevens carrying some damage and fallen to 3rd. He's under pressure from behind for the transfer into the feature as we go racing once more. Bruce Jones leading, but so much contact and close racing here for Travis Walling and Zach Goddard. This is fantastic racing, bumper to bumper across the line, and just enough room being given by Dan Stevens up top. We see the number 514 of Mark Miller right there as well. It's a 4-way battle for 2nd.
Yeah, and here comes that momentum. So Walling's moved up the track. He's found the speed, finds the momentum, but he's getting checked up. Goddard can't find the speed at the moment. If Walling's looking for a way, he'll try and build the momentum from the top. Now he's going to look the pedal underneath. The move for 2nd. The slide job into 3 and 4. Gets it done. Checks the momentum. Walling to P2.
Yep, and right back up the inside goes Zach Goddard. Can he park it on the line and allow? Oh, no, he can't. There's more momentum there for Walling up high, and it looks like he'll have secured that for now. He just needs to make sure that he keeps the speed up top, because look at him working the bottom there, the number 29. He's just not able to keep the momentum up, and he'll have to make a switch to the mid to high line if he wants to preserve 3rd place. Dan Stevens still has a chance of getting into the feature here, Lynn.
But it's gonna take a little bit of an effort. He's got some damage on that left front there on the 3 car. That's gonna affect the handling. You wouldn't think aerodynamics matters at a short track, but these things are whipping around 120 miles an hour, and you can definitely feel that.
Yeah, a lot of movement in these cars. Stevens, I think, losing a bit of touch here with Zach Goddard as we have 5 laps to go in this heat. Things a little bit more spaced out now than they were in Heat 1, but you see just how close the top 5 pack is together. One mistake, Scott, and the face of this race changes.
Yeah, and I'm just keeping off an eye on Goddard's the one that's running a different line to everyone else. Bruce Jones at the moment is running to the middle to low line. And Dan Stevens in the back is just trying to rip the lip up and against the fence, against the top of the groove. Now he's going to make contact as they come off of 4. This is hard racing. 3 laps left to run in heat number 2.
Yeah, and there's battles wherever you look. This is the battle for 6th. Sebastian Jackson trying to hold off Robert Northway with some damage on both cars here. They're just looking to get these positions sorted, because it'll ultimately decide where they start in the feature if they can make their way through the alphabet. 2 laps to go. Make that 1 lap to go for Bruce Jones, who has been unpressured for the last few laps. Walling and Goddard, they're separated by some margin as well. Round about 8 or 9 tenths of a second as the checkered flag flies. Bruce Jones wins the 2nd heat here at Eldora. Travis Walling and Zach Goddard will join him, transferring straight through to the feature.
A lot of cars moving around the field in that one. As we take a look at the results, obviously Bruce Jones winning, Travis Walling 2nd, starting 5th, our biggest mover of the event so far, I think, in both heats. Zachary Goddard gets the last transfer spot. Dan Stevens, I think he's going to get sorted very high up in the consolation race, followed by Mark Miller, Sebastian Jackson, Robert Northway, Damian Colty, and Scott Kukas. Not really having a very good fun time at this point as we transfer over to heat number 3. I'll take this grid. Sure, why not? We'll start with Austin O'Neill up at the front with the Fractal Velocities Racing 01 alongside Justin Morton. Keep an eye on Morton. He's got a couple of wins in dirt rounds in the majors before. Up next, Nick Kuhn alongside Stuart Elder in the Fusion Machines. Up next, Roger Shank in an independent entry alongside Trevor Vrosky in the Evolve Sim Sports machine. We have another Fractal Velocities machine in Mark Santana starting 7th alongside the old man of the UDocs team, Ron McPherson. I'm glad he's able to hang out here with us. And then starting shotgun on the field is Joshua Susi. Had a really good time in the Summer Cup with him. Hopefully he'll be able to make his way up to the front. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see indeed. This is going to be some high pressure stuff here. Austin O'Neill, Justin Morton, and Nick Kuhn, all drivers who jump out to me as being able to finish in the top 3 in this race. But whether or not they'll be able to is another matter entirely. They have those top 3 starting positions, but considering the incidents that we've seen early on, I don't know, Scott. Considering that it's pretty cool out there, 22-degree air temperature, only 18-degree track temperature. How does that affect the temperature buildup of the tires on dirt?
Yeah, well, I mean, lower temperature out on the track means that there's less temperature soaking through from the ground. Less air temperature as well, less temperature soaking into that tire. It's still going to come up. That is the big thing. But can you keep those peak temperatures, peak pressures down just a little bit, prevent the tire from cooking off? That's what you're looking for the cooler air temperatures to do. Boys, I've got a big tip for this one. I think that high groove has now become the best place to run. There's a couple guys who can run middle to low, but I think if you're going to be quick, you've got to get to the outside. You've got to get there early.
Yeah, the preferred line is definitely moving up the circuit, as we saw from Travis Walling in the last heat. Don't forget as well, the sun is setting, so getting it in your eyes in certain places on the circuit could be an issue, especially if you're running VR. Green flag flies, and the number 01 leads us into the first corner. Austin O'Neill, though, running a little bit deep on the exit as the 19 will chase him. Nick Kuhn going all the way down low. Not seeing that many people going up high, but Stuart Elder has gone into the wall. He escapes, and we stay green. Good stuff to see, at least in terms of the conducting of the race. It means that we don't have to have this battle interrupted. Justin Morton chasing Austin O'Neill down for the win.
Yeah, and he's making a little bit of time at the moment as he's going to swing back to the middle groove at this point in time. Starting to see the first portions of shine coming out of the track on the entry and middle to 3 and 4 as it currently stands, but they're just about single filed out as they run through the field. Start of lap 4, it's going to be O'Neill from Morton.
Oh, and lap traffic as well. The number 36 of Joshua Susi having to make way for our leaders here. You can see that Susi is struggling to get the car sideways and maintain that slide like we usually see when you're driving dirt ovals normally. So that was almost disaster for both Austin O'Neill and Justin Morton, and it could almost be disaster for Nick Kuhn, who still manages to sneak inside. Meanwhile, keep up an eye for Trevor Vavrovsky. Can he get it done here? No, the number 36 is on the racing line and he can't get it done. The Evolve Sim Sports number 10 will be frustrated there. He might stand to lose 4th place from Roger Shank.
Yeah, Shank's trying to make some momentum. He's going to swing back to the inside. Now he's going to clear Susi on the low line. Moves it back up to the middle and top. Vorovsky now starting to make some momentum, make some hay out of the top as he finds where the grip is at this point in time. Track starts to develop 2 distinct lines. Second groove starting to form the middle to the low line.
Yep, we're still seeing cars running the cushion though, Lynn, particularly our top 2. They are running the boundary between the lighter and darker coloured surfaces.
And the 01 up front has been running quick laps, lap after lap, resetting the fastest lap of the race, I believe, at every turn into the 14.9s at this particular point. You see Justin Morton not really able to hang, but having built up a cushion, it's an opportunity for these guys to just settle in, try to get these transfers done. Maybe a little bit of a risk for Kuhn. Oh, we actually have a change for position for the 3rd position. Kuhn threw a slider on Vavrovsky and was able to get that done. Vavrovsky's going to counterattack on the low side.
Yeah, can the slide job work for him? No, not quite. Nick Kuhn's going to jump his way back through in the number 19. He's going to keep running low for a bit, needs to rotate the car a little more, and that's going to give Bobrovsky the momentum around the outside, Scott. It just looks he's so smooth up top there, and the advantage that he's gaining, that's magnificent.
And look at where he's riding. One wheel out in the loam on the high side at this point in time. Carries the momentum down the front straight away. Nick Kuhn, if you're going to find some speed, better find it now. Lap 13 of 15 on the card at this point in time. There's going to be 2 more laps left to run. Bobrovsky has found the fastest time in the race. Ran it right in about the middle of the race. Lap traffic for our race leader is going to be a problem as well, as once again they go around the outside of Susi. O'Neill finds his way through. Can Morton maybe find the momentum into the wall, finds Susi, finds some grip back down low. It's going to be one more lap, white flag in the air.
Austin O'Neill absolutely in control of this race as the 143 and 333 battle over 6th place. Ronald McPherson leading Mark Santana there, and the checkered flag flies as Austin O'Neill puts in a stellar drive to win the 3rd heat. I was watching him the whole way through there. Amazing how smooth he was running the cushion. Just that's the textbook there. You want to see how you win a late model dirt race? That's exactly how you do it. So O'Neill is going to take victory there, with Morton and Bobrovsky joining him in the top 3 and the transfer straight through into the feature. Kuhn, Shank, McPherson, Santana, Susi and Elder will have to make their way through the alphabet and the consolations before we get things going again. It is time for the 4th heat now. 8 cars on the cards here again. David Gargaro and Joseph Homan are going to start out of 1st and 2nd. The 2nd row will be Nathan Dowd and Ryan Steele. Brian McGreevy, meanwhile, Legends Championship stalwart, going to start alongside Stephen Paulison on the 3rd row, and 4th row will be Jordan Slater and Timothy Klaus. Now, one of the things that is definitely going to become a factor here, Lynn, and something that we haven't talked about all that much yet is which column, I suppose, inside or outside, you're going to be starting on the grid. That's going to be a factor when the track gets worked in and there's more of a clear division between the fresh clay and the not so fresh clay. Seems like the inside does have a bit of an advantage for the time being, but that might change later on.
It's at the discretion of the front row starters where the lanes will begin. At this particular point, with the track still relatively fresh, they're going to be lining up very close to each other. But as we get later on, you could see the guys starting on the outside move up towards the cushion, try to get themselves a little bit of a bite, and then try to rotate down towards the inside. Vice versa, if you're starting on the inside, you may want to start lower down so you can get to that fresh stuff down low to be able to get the launch off. Pace truck pulls off, and away we go.
Good start from David Gargaro there. It looks like the right side row, the outside row, was not working itself nicely there. Homan already losing 2nd place, and he might lose 3rd if he's not careful. Ryan Steele on the inside of him there in the number 12. But again, the outside line is where you want to be. Oh, yeah, I think I saw that one too, Scott. Jordan Slater and Brian McGreevy were battling hard there. A big trade between them. McGreevy is massively sideways at the moment. I think 2 sideways as we have a new leader, Joseph Homan, getting into the wall, and he's slowed down. We might see a caution come out of this. Oh, the suspension destroyed there for the 222, and he will lose his transfer spot. Nathan Dowd and David Gargaro battle for the lead.
Yeah, now it's going to be about who can find the momentum. It's going to be the big-time dirt speedway style racing. He's got to find a run, find some momentum on the middle of 3 and 4. Has he got enough overlap? Will he swing for the slider? He's forced Gargaro to think about a defensive line. Now Dowd's going to rotate it off the top rope. Now he will pull alongside. Switches to the low line. No opportunity for a slider. Didn't get enough momentum, but he is alongside as they come off at 4. Steele now is going to get the momentum back. looking for a little bit of a hole, looking for an opening. Get ready for speedway action, boys. This is late models at its finest.
It absolutely is. Jordan Slater is right in the midst of this as well. He's trying to get the traction on the inside there as the 7 goes for the move up the inside again, but David Gargaro is going to have the momentum on the high line here. He is riding the cushion so well, and it looks like the same is true for Ryan Steele. This is the closest race we've seen so far, barely any room being given.
And the best part is the fastest driver in the field right now, Ryan Steele, gets to the outside. Now he's put a move on Nathan Down. Now he gets checked up. Contact 3 wide. Why don't you? Eldora Motor Speedway with late models, Reese.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm watching Flow Racing right now, hearing you in my ears. As they're 3 wide once again. The 968 splitting the both of them. Ryan Steele trying his best to hold on here. Oh, they make contact again. David Gargaro's going to fall back into 3rd place. These guys are all battling over the last 2 transfer spots, and I think that might have been too much there. The straw that broke the camel's back for David Gargaro.
Yeah, Gargaro had momentum. He was quick off the line, but all of a sudden the line moved, and now the speed has been found. Ryan Steele was running really quick. Now he's made contact. Can Slater find some speed? Send a slide jump for him. It's going to be important. This will not just be a transfer spot. This will be a grid spot when we get round to the feature. Who's going to be able to find it? And I tell you what, they're both starting to run down Dowd.
Yeah, they really are. Nathan Dowd was fortunate that they battled as hard as they did over the course of those last few laps, because it's given him some crucial breathing room with 13 laps about to be put on the board. But with the 15.071 there, new fastest lap for Nathan Dowd. Looks like Steele and Slater just not quite able to match it. Having said that, 0.06 of a second slower on that time was Jordan Slater. But we are into the last little run now, and Nathan Dowd, he is well in the lead. 0.8 of a second doesn't seem like much, but it's a country mile in dirt racing terms. It could still be on between Steele and Slater here. 14.963 from Jordan Slater. Has some magnificent pace, and you see how much of a slick line is starting to form on the entry here. Checkered flag flies, and Nathan Dowd wins the next heat here at Eldora Speedway. Ryan Steele and Jordan Slater will join him in the top 3, and in the feature, our pole setter, David Gargaro. How would you be if you were in his shoes? You had this locked down, but you've fallen out of the transfer. Brian McGreevy, Stephen Paulison, and Timothy Klaus will finish, with Joseph Homan, unfortunately, retiring. The man who started a long way up the field there. It's such a shame to see the man who started in 2nd place lose out there, Lynn.
That's just the story of dirt racing. You can be at the top, where Joshua Wolf is starting out alongside the popsicle man, Brian Barnes, but then it could change also too quickly. Next row, we have, I believe this is a ringer, Chris Daniel alongside Robbie Bradbury in the Fusion Machine. Brian Scrivener returns again with the Fusion alongside Phil Otto in with the Kingsman. Couple of regulars around. Jake Fox has said he doesn't enjoy. He's not that good at dirt, but I think he's going to be playing a little bit of possum alongside Brian Bennett. We have just 8 cars for this final heat number 5.
Yep, then we move through into the D main, and then the C, and then the B. It's amazing how alphabet reverse order works. But in terms of the order here, Joshua Wolf and Brian Barnes will be battling hard for the lead here, Scott. And you can see that the slick is starting to come in on the entry to those corners. I mentioned that at the end of last heat. It's really going to be relevant now.
Yeah, and the grip level has changed significantly. I think Challoner probably would have preferred racing on something that's a little bit more worn out. He didn't. He got a full tacky track. Now it's a medium track. We're starting to get into that point. This is going to take some reading, and this is where the dirt know-it-alls are really going to shine.
Oh, yeah. Into the pits comes the pace truck, and Joshua Wolf goes early, and it looks like the rest of the field was almost right on it with him. So, the top 3 looking a bit safe for now. How much of a pace does Brian Barnes have in that number 4? As there's a lot of racing going back on in the pack there. Robbie Bradbury made contact with Phil Otto there and just sent him into the wall. Looks like Otto's going to be losing a lot of time here. He's got some damage there in the 013, and he's going to pull down into the lane there. It looks like, unfortunately, heat done for Phil Otto. Joshua Wolf still leading the way from Brian Barnes as we enter our 3rd lap.
I can tell you Jake Fox also got into the back of Brian Scrivener on that opening lap as all the momentum sort of switched up. Caution flag will fly. We're going to re-rack him. We're going to restack him. We'll go again. That lap 1, turn 1 that's the real tricky part because everyone's trying to read their cars, and the difficulty for these guys, Reese, that I was just watching at was, think about it, they haven't been on the track since qualifying. The last time they were on the track, it was so tacky. So it's going to be the same sort of thing for the last chance qualifiers, the D through B mains, but they'll have a little bit more knowledge. Guys that ran a lot later, that's going to be better. Here's the initial jump.
Yeah, the initial jump here, and keep an eye on the 013 of Phil Otto here, the red and white car up top. You see that there's contact there, and then the momentum just goes back in to Phil Otto, and that's destroyed the front suspension of the car. Contact on both sides. He could not get that car turned down low. He was trying his best to make his way around, but ultimately Lynn had to stop on the racetrack and bring out the caution to get back into the pits.
And in that case, I don't mind a caution. He tried his best to make it around the track, at least to get to the low side right here. But then as you progress into the turns, the entire surface is a valid track. So he decided, I'm just going to pull over right here and park. Yes, it brought out a caution, but he didn't take anybody out with him. I say that's a very good move on his part.
Yeah, it was the safest thing he could have done because considering how little response there was from the steering, there was no way he was going to be able to turn it tight enough to get back into the pits. So yeah, no harm, no foul. The rest of the field will fall back into order as Joshua Wolf continues to lead the way here under caution. We're about to get going again for the restart, and the question is, when will he decide to go? I'm sure he'll try and go as soon as possible here to get a good run. There's only one gear available on these cars, and they start low down in the rev range. Scott put plenty of torque. Now they're going to be running the red line as they go up the top there. The 20 loses 3rd place briefly. Christopher Daniel is trying his best to hold on, but Brian Scrivener up high is going to have the momentum.
Yeah, he just put a nose on the outside as they went down and through turn 3 and 4. Now he's on the high side and making hay while the sun shines. Wolf leads us out, starting to pull a little bit of momentum. 15.533 on the last time by. What's he going to be able to find this time? 2.55. Starting to make some time at the front end of the field. Scrivener's got a little bit of pace, starts to track down Brian Barnes, and that slick line continues to widen.
Yep, you can see they're staying off it. They're staying just above it to try and run the cushion for that extra pace on board with Scrivener. And we're seeing just how much pressure Christopher Daniels putting on him here to try and get back into the transfer. He's looking down low, but there's no momentum down there. What on earth is he going to do? He's going to have to bide his time and maybe run a slide job later on, especially considering Brian Bennett's catching up to them now too.
Yeah, now the move becomes, do you get aggressive because you've got to defend? Going forward's the best way to try and hang on to your spot. Sits outside the transfer spot at this point in time, but I get the feeling Christopher Daniels got some pace. Cork in the bottle now, Brian Scrivener. Now he's got to wait for the mistake. Once that mistake comes, you've got to trigger the slide job, and you've got to send it if you want to get out of the heat.
Look at how much fantastic steering lock we're seeing from the man in 4th place, Christopher Daniel. He goes for it. The slide job down low. Will he be able to get it done? Oh, they make contact as he comes back up the racetrack, but it's not enough contact for damage. They're going to play on here. Scrivener is going to line it up here for a straight exit, and there's the chance that Brian Bennett's been looking for. Down low he goes, but he can't keep the momentum up. He has to stay in behind for another move. This is a fantastic battle for the final transfer spot, and we have a mere 4 laps to go.
Oh, Bro, Brennan's going to send it to the bottom once more. Once again, Scrivener's going to hold them back up on the top rope. 3.5 laps left to run. Scrivener's the guy that they're all charging for. Everyone wants to be where Brian Scrivener sits on the racetrack. Bennett's got some pace. He's got to pick a spot to send a slide job. Make contact with the inside barrier, trying to get that car pivoted to the bottom of the racetrack. That might be his race done. Back to the outside. Christopher Daniel, time running out. Builds some momentum. Tries to get a run back underneath him. 2 more laps to run.
This is fantastic racing. I'm loving this. Look at him straightening up the exit there on the number 20, but he doesn't have the room to get alongside just yet. He's pressuring the rear quarter panel of Brian Scrivener for third place. The white flag flies, and they are separated by a mere 100th of a second across the line.
Down.
Yep, here we go. He's going to try it here. Oh, gets into the rear bumper of Brian Scrivener, and the slide job is on. Joshua Wolf is going to win, and he's going to just get it at the line. Fantastic job from Christopher Daniel to get third.
And Scrivener just made a couple little mistakes, couple bottles, couple times hung the right rear out just a little bit too far. And the difficulty in that one is that is how you burn off a right rear. Scrivener has got some work to do if he makes the feature.
Oh yeah, lots and lots of work to do indeed. Wolf, Barnes and Daniel are your podium. They transfer through. Scrivener, Bennett, Fox, Bradbury and Otto. We're going to be seeing them again, Lynn. This is some fantastic racing here that we're seeing. We're not going to have a D main. We are going to have a C main for the first last chance of qualifying. Winners advance to the A main and everyone else goes to second split. Actually, it's now that it's changed up, it's going to be the top 3 from each that advance through to the feature. So we're going to be seeing a lot more racing going on here. Take us through the grid, Lynn.
We get a second chance to see some of these guys. Don Donaldson will start up front alongside of Nick Kuhn in the Dog Bear Bark machine. Carry it on. And we see again Brian Scrivener coming right on back out alongside Mark Miller. So these guys just freshly coming out in the previous heat will have a bit of an advantage. They'll know what they're dealing with. Brian McGreevy alongside of Brent Trozen, a couple of long-timers in the series. Ron McPherson alongside of Jake Fox again make up the next row. 9th and 10th is filled in by Robert Northway and Timothy Klaus in the red UDOX Frank machine. Stephen Verwine having a bit of a bumpy night, but there's an opportunity, and unfortunately, Race Control has determined that the 36 is gone for the evening. Did not make the minimum laps. Phil Otto will move alongside. Scott Kukas moves up a free position in that regard, and that is your 13-car field for Last Chance Qualifier number 1.
Indeed. Oh, Don Dolson is going to have a big run here. If he can manage to get the run here into first place, he'll be very happy indeed. But I tell you what, it's going to be a huge race for third as the pace truck pulls in, and we are away. Don Dolson not getting off to as big of a start as we've seen in the heats, and they are level on their way through. Contact for third. Brian Scrivener trying to keep Mark Miller behind him, and the top 4 are going to break away from the rest of the field. It's a huge pack for fourth on back.
And remember, Miller got checked up in his heat race as well, making some contacts. Scrivener's made some time, and clearly he's been looking, watching, making adjustments as we're going to head in. Remember, 20 laps. Oh, there's the first contact to the LCQ. First caution is out.
Stephen Verwyen losing his rear wing assembly there, and it's going to fall off the car as a result. Man, he'll still be able to rejoin the field, but that's a little bit of extra damage that he won't want for sure. We'll get a replay of that one. Verwyen tried to throw it down at the inside there, and unfortunately making contact with the 943 of Robert Northway. And well, fortunately for Northway, he didn't get spun and all of that, but yeah, that's crucial positions lost there for Stephen Verwyen.
It's just a bit of an accordion effect. It looked like McGreevy didn't have a very good handle of the middle of the corner and slid a little bit sideways, trying to get some of that grip back. Right as the 943 of Northway was able to make a run on him, and when you meet in the middle, something's got to give, and unfortunately in that case, it was the car to the inside that had the wipeout.
Yeah, indeed it did. Oh, man, that's a real shame to see. But our top three are almost the same. Nick Kuhn managing to get the lead, Scott, from Don Dolson. And Brian Scrivener will have noticed that. He'll be right on the back of them. And keeping Mark Miller behind, I think, will be the main thing on his mind.
Well, Miller had a rough heat, so he was looking for a little bit of clear track and just didn't get it. Same sort of thing that we just saw happen to trigger that caution. Lots of checkups, little bit of damage, unfortunately. I think Miller's potentially got pace to try and get himself through. Starts on the low line here. He's going to want to try, Scrivener on the low line. It's going to be Miller on the top line. That will give Miller the advantage. If he can get by Scrivener, I think he'll be okay.
All right, well, now the pace truck pulls back in and we get ready for the next green flag here. Nick Kuhn with a magnificent start there. That's exactly the advantage he would have been looking for. Gets up to speed as it's side by side for second. Don Dolson and Brian Scrivener trying their best here. Bit of a slide from Mark Miller as he tries to get momentum on. He's almost 90 degrees to the preferred line around the track. Miller is struggling at the moment and everyone around him is looking to take advantage. Northway is going to cut underneath the 04 of Don Dolson here, but the number 514 is just holding on. Look at how much angle he's getting.
Yeah, and have a look at, remember, who was the drivers who started in that earlier heat? It was Don Dolson. He hasn't been on this racetrack for a very long time, and the track has run away from Don Dolson. Northway still to the inside. Miller just barely managing to hold the middle, but he's got a lot of angle. Caution flag will fly once again for Wayne in the 8.
Yeah, and it looks like the suspension is fully destroyed on that one. He's not going to be able to make it back into the pits. He'll have to pull over and escape back. And unfortunately for Verwaayen, he was tapped by Timothy Klaus and got spun around there. There were 2 cars involved in that. Ronald McPherson also getting into the wall. We'll check out what happened to McPherson first. And, well, he just hit the wall. The front right was destroyed. And the car just wasn't turning.
I think at this point I'm supposed to make a joke about the paint, but unfortunately, maybe a hardware failure because that car kind of went a little straight, and then here's the Verwaayen machine right there. You notice still not having that rear spoiler, just gets doinked in the rear by Klaus and hits the wall. Trying to run it with the limited late model aero configuration. It was working for a bit, but then got a little damage on that right front, and that's going to be a tow.
Yeah, certainly is. Unfortunately, we've lost Ronald McPherson and Stephen Verwaayen from this race. But, well, we'll see the onboard here. And, yeah, you can see that the car just really struggling to turn here. And he'll try and turn in again, winds on the lock, and, yeah, there's nothing that can be done there, Scott.
Yeah, and the difficulty he's having is just trying to get that car to rotate. A lot of drivers having too much rotation. I will make a joke about the livery. He's got Evil Box on the back end of that. That definitely looked like an Evil Box to drive.
Ouch.
Oh dear. Well, we're already getting the roasts and toasts in as the pace truck will come into the pits, and Nick Kuhn absolutely nails the start. A very slow start from the 70 of Brian Scrivener. Now Don Dolson has a chance to get back into the top 3. Is this going to be what he's looking for as Northway makes contact with the 68? Easy does it on your way through. The top 3 are a long way away from these guys, and we're seeing a race start to evolve for the lead. Mark Miller was trying up the inside of Nick Kuhn to get the win.
Yeah, now you've got to try and work your way forwards. Remember, this will be towards the tail end of our qualifying results to transfer out. Ronald McPherson's just rejoined the track, but he's having a lot of issues with getting that car around. Leaders are going to be catching him in these next couple of moments. Miller's made his way back through to second. Scrivener, after having so many dramas in the heat, just not able to do it. Somebody was into the barriers. I think it might have been Dolson who just hit the fence as they went into 4. So Dolson slides back out of contention now. He'll need to make the pass on Northway. Still not halfway through the heat. Miller has got some attitude in that car right now. Struggling for traction. They're all looking for where the speed is.
Oh, have a look at Don Dolson there. Almost cleaned up Robert Northway down low. You're seeing the drivers now start to search for more fresh clay down low. It seems like the drivers running the high line have lost their real advantage now. Northway is absolutely mastering the low line here.
And lap traffic's starting to become a play because McPherson's in and amongst this one. He will be a factor, and there's nothing you can say about that as he tries to drive the evil box up and against the fence. First three are going to jump their way through. Scrivener might have found the pace. He was going for a move on the lap car, but now he's found a little bit of time. Car hits the fence. Northway's trying to find some speed as well. Miller now struggles to rotate the car on the bottom. Who's going to find the drive?
We are halfway through this last chance qualifier now, and Mark Miller and Nick Kuhn are battling hard for the lead of the race, but it's Brian Scrivener versus Robert Northway for the transfer spot here. Northway is keeping the high line working nicely, but he's struggling for grip there on the exit. Was just running in the slick. He's lining up another slide job. Can he get it done? It looks like he will be able to, but what kind of comeback are we going to see from the number 70 who moves to the inside? Northway gets the momentum and the exit, and now he's going to have a go at second. Robert Northway's form has just transformed.
Yeah, well, the big thing is the second phase of the corner at both ends of the racetrack. There is now a shiny hard back line, which is not where the drive is. Northway slides up the racetrack, takes the right front away from Mark Miller. Caution gonna fly, but that top five has all of a sudden been shuffled, and now we'll rack them. And this is going to be a new kind of restart. There is going to be so much opportunity when they release them once more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How good was Robert Northway there in the latter phase? As this is what the caution's for. Oh, no, the 242 of Scott Kukas trying to bring it into the pits. He just lost too much speed there, hitting the inside wall, and that triggered the caution.
Saw that a lot in the officials. If a car got damaged and they tried to get out of the way, as is the gentlemanly thing to do, for whatever reason, Barney does not like that, and it's just enough of racing service to throw the yellow. Right thing to do to get out of the way. It's just an unfortunate little happenstance.
Yeah, very unfortunate indeed, but gives everyone a chance to take a breath and run in for these final 5 laps of the race, Scott. This is going to be a massive race for the top 3.
Yeah, and I have a look at the track evolution again. We were just talking about it. The hard pack, it's in that second and third phase of the corner. It's not the initial phase. There's a lot of grip in the very, very early phases of the corner. So ripping the top line's good. What I think you're looking for right now, trying to pivot that car early, cut it back down and across that slick, that's where you'll pick up the time. Alternatively, point it straight. If you find that slick margin and you can just point the car straight, get some straight line traction, that's what you're looking for. There is a quick line on the bottom now, boys, though, so you can just wrap the bottom if you know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Robert Northway proving that truly. And we saw Nick Kuhn trying the bottom a couple of times. It was largely due to navigating lap traffic, but he's certainly got the pace down low and up high as we are back green again for the final 5 laps of this race. Already down to the bottom goes Mark Miller, but Robert Northway, his corner exits have been monumental in this last chance qualifier, and he's going to run to the bottom line, running the concrete. He is to the lead. Can Nick Kuhn respond?
Well, the big thing is, why is he going back to the top? He just found so much speed off the bottom. Now he's trying to cover off Kuhn. Kuhn, I think, needs to look at that and potentially make a move. Right now, they're both transferring out. Third spot on the racetrack. Scrivener in behind Miller. Miller will have it at this point in time, but Miller's got the right rear hanging out in the slick, and he's struggling to find traction for P3. Scrivener finds the fence now as well.
Yep, just a little tap there to the concrete, and now looks like Mark Miller is in a little bit of trouble here. Scrivener is looking strong up high. There's no momentum for the 514. They make contact. The caution is back out.
No, 2 laps. We're 2 laps from home. We're going to have a 2-lap sprint. Oh, boy.
Oh, yep. All right. Stress levels are rising, Lynn. This is going to be a magnificent finish.
That caution was brought out by the Donaldson machine. He hit the wall. We'll take a look at it. I believe... Okay, this is after... this is the most recent impact that he's made with the wall. Tried to keep it going, and unfortunately it's just fallen apart. He pulled it off the inside, but a car detected his presence right there to bring out the yellow. But earlier, you might have seen on the timing tower that his position fell down really far. I think he clubbed the wall over in turn number 3, and that bent something up to where that car was just not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, so Don Dawson's night in the first split is done as a result of that, and it looks like that's what got it done for him. He was, oh yeah, there's the contact with the wall. Big damage for Don Dawson, running into the back of another car. It's just, them's the brakes sometimes, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it though, right? He's not been doing well. He was doing quite well on the tacky track, and now he's struggling a lot. The other thing I'm looking at is Mark Miller. Mark Miller's vulnerable. Very, very vulnerable. And Scrivener is finding a rhythm. All he's got to do is find that overlap. As soon as he gets to his outside or his inside, I think Scrivener's got to do a big, big send here very, very early.
Yeah, let's see how this goes then as they gear up for the final restart of this race. Robert Northway finding himself into the lead. Nick Kuhn leading the way for quite some time. Now he has to try and find his way back past the 943. Here we go. Pace truck in. 2-lap sprint to the very end. It's going to be a 1-lap sprint to the end, in fact. Who's going to get it done? Already down to the inside, the 514 of Mark Miller, side by side with Nick Kuhn. They are free to battle. Brian Scrivener too far back to make a move as Robert Northway will cross the line to win, and it's only going to be very close between them. Drag race to the line, but it looks like Nick Kuhn's just going to hold off Mark Miller.
Just found the momentum from the top row, transferring 3, Northway from Kuhn from Miller, and Scrivener is going to sit there and feel very disappointed. I think he had the pace to transfer out of that one. It won't say that on the score sheet. He won't find himself in the final.
No, he certainly won't. Well, Northway, Kuhn and Miller will transfer through to the final, and unfortunately everyone behind them is going to have to deal with racing in the second split. What a magnificent run everyone has had, but unfortunately, a lot of drivers who we thought would be a contender are out and done, and that's going to be the C main all done. The official gap is merely 1,000th of a second for positions 2 and 3 there. Well, now we get into last chance qualifier 2. Dan Stevens and David Gargaro are going to start on the front row for this one, with Wayne Hutchison and Roger Shank sharing row 2. Brian Bennett and Sebastian Jackson on the third row. Then we move to Stephen Paulison and Adam Johnson. Mark Santana and Robbie Bradbury will round out our top 10. In 11th place, it's Damien Colty, Scott Joseph Homan for company. And then we have Stuart Elder and Joshua Mertz on the final row of the grid, Lynn. This is going to be a fun one indeed. Daniel Stevens starting from the front. Will he be able to hold them off?
Definitely going to have a shot. And also, a lot of good cars that were starting up front in heats are starting in the back here. You saw Joseph Homan earlier having some trouble. 34, Colty having some issues beforehand. But they got 20 laps to make it happen. As you see, Stevens relatively close to the pace car, pulls in green almost immediately.
Yes, and away we go. It's a good start from Stevens, also a good start from Hutchison in the 17. Can David Gargaro hold him off as the rest of the field fans out and tries to stake their claim for the run towards the top 3? Stevens is not exactly breaking away from these guys, but he's looking comfortable up top.
Keep the show going right here. The battle for the top 5, right? Oh, there's a car sideways right there. Multiple vehicles involved. That's Bradbury. I think that's a wheel that's going independent of the vehicle. That's not ever a good thing right there. Lots of things to unpack in this collision, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be quite the replay. Roger Shank was involved in that one as well. Pace truck back out, and well, it's going to be Daniel Stevens still leading the way here, but yeah, some big dramas at the back to start off last chance qualifier 2. 20 laps on the board. We only managed to complete 2 of them before we got that first caution. Big shame there, but Yeah, Eldora is going to bite, especially when you got a bunch of cars in one spot. Focusing on the 948 here, there was contact further on forward, and they all tried to check up and make their way through, but it was a ping pong ball that the 948 took.
And you saw right there, the 950, like in rush hour traffic, if something spooky happens in front of you, and you check up unexpectedly, it brings everything back to the field, and they just started beating and banging into each other. Unfortunately, multiple vehicles getting heavily damaged in there. Joshua Mertz took a lot of damage out of that one. 333, did think they got a little bit of piece of it at the moment, or did they benefit? Okay, so they brought out the spare car. A whole lot of spare cars being used in this particular event. For the major series, you get one spare car for each segment of a race. In this case, we have one for each heat, one for each last chance qualifier, and one for the feature. So lots of vehicles being replaced at this particular stage of the game.
Yep, no replacement vehicles for our top, though, with Dan Stevens lining up the start again and making sure that he gets the gap going. He's searching desperately for some fresh clay. He's running the middle. It's very difficult to keep the car under control, and the slick as the 71's in the wall. Brian Bennett making contact there with the number 58. Stephen Paulison, I think an innocent victim in all of that. He just didn't have the time to check up as Bennett spun around up high.
Boy, oh boy, what happened there? I think we saw on the air that the 71 was sideways with the right side facing the oncoming traffic, and all sorts of mayhem is just sort of broken out. It's kind of a tale of two different races in both these heats and the LCQs. One's usually pretty clean, the other one's gone messy, and we'll take a look at the replay right here. Oh, clopped to the wall again, just like everybody else. And I think he caught a little piece of that gate and knocked the wheel off the 58 right there entirely. That's going to be another spare car, as we see the 950 and the 333 having some sort of disagreement.
Yeah, Santana, Homan, and Mertz were also involved in all that, as well as Roger Shank. So that just goes to show it only takes one car having problems up high for the majority of the rear of the field to be having issues. That is just terrible to see. But it also goes to show how treacherous the concrete is. 5 drivers have used a spare car so far in this last chance qualifier, and Brian Bennett's going to be one of them. He manages to get the car back out there and towards the rear of the field as they're already forming up too wide for the restart.
Something I like about Stevens at the moment, you saw this earlier, they're backing up off of the pace truck. If there's no restart zone enabled, the leader is entitled to fall back as far as they want for the pace car. This gives them a little bit of room on the restart. You see pace truck pulls off. That gives Stevens a chance to restart, and we're going to go again, lap number 4.
All right, so we aren't very far into this last chance qualifier. Hopefully we get a good green flag run. Stevens holding on to the lead as it's side by side for second. Wayne Hutchison trying his best to get it done here on David Gargaro, but it seems like the bottom isn't really working for the number 17. He's struggling to get the move done, and the yellow flag is back out. What on earth has gone on here? Looks like further problems for Roger Shank. There's car parts lining the racetrack, and Mark Santana has had a big issue as well.
Was watching the timing board again. I thought I saw one car falling down the running order. This 950 has just been through the ringer, and it's only been 5 laps. Lots of things have gone wrong in this event. See if we get a replay pulled up. I want to say this is another case of a caution coming out because of the car coming to the pits. Take a look at the replay right there. Oh, somebody blinked out. That spooks everybody out, and you get turned into the wall. That is a definite caution.
Yeah, looked like Shank backed out of it a little bit and kept the slide going, and unfortunately Homan was coming up the track alongside him. So, there you go, get it into the pits. There we are. He's still got his spare car, has Roger Shank, so this won't be too bad of a run for him. Unfortunately, he'll be a long way down the field, and he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and get back up to the top 3. Still plenty of this race to go, but considering the pace of our top guys and how chaotic the bottom half of the field's been, I don't know.
Well, in comparison to the heats, the LCQs are both not only 20 laps long, but we have 20 minutes allotted to them. And we're only about, I want to say, 6 or 7 minutes into it. So there's still plenty of time to get the entirety of the event in. And since the caution laps do not count, there's also plenty of time for these guys to get in and repaired. And again, you look at that gap up at the top, the pace truck has kind of wandered off into its own little zip code. Stevens enjoying that little advantage that backing off the pace truck gives him.
Scott Rankin is back with us now, just in time for this restart to begin the 6th lap of Last Chance Qualifier number 2. Back down low goes the 17 of Wayne Hutchison. Is there anything he can do to build some pace up? Because it seems like the bottom just isn't working for him at this stage.
And the difficulty is, have a look at the momentum coming from the top step, and he just can't slide all the way back up to the top. He loses more momentum. Now he's on the outside looking in, but have a look at Gagaro, who's really getting hassled and harassed by Johnson. Gagaro finds the fence. Now he's in trouble. Back into the top 3, Wayne Hutchison.
Yeah, he can't make it back into the pits. That car's not turning. The caution is going to come out at some point, I'm sure. This is not good for the drivers at the front of the field. Such a shame for Gargaro. He started in 2nd place. He was on the front row, and he's not going to make it to the finish here. Oh, dear. Well, he's going to try and stay down low at the very least, as the 42 is trying his best to stay out of the way. But there's drivers trying to run low here. The yellow flag comes out. He wasn't able to get it into the pits.
And the biggest issue is he just barely, has he gone a lap down? Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know. He may be okay. He may remain on the lead lap. We're gonna get an update when he gets past the timing line. I think he's managed to just barely stay on the lead lap. So Gagaro isn't out yet.
Not quite yet. He's going to get the fast repair done, as we'll see exactly what happened to him here. Lining up with the number 27 of Adam Johnson, and just got sent into the barrier there. That was enough to break the suspension, and he couldn't turn. It only got worse.
And it doesn't take a whole lot to break these right fronts. He was scraping along the wall, and he probably would have been okay at that particular point, but that made the entry into turn number 3 so difficult. He would have had to have completely gotten out of all input, try to coast it into the corner, and just unfortunately just ran out of space. Hit that right front just hard enough to break it. He did get the spare car, and since scoring reverted to the previous lap, he stays up on the lead lap at this particular point. A couple of notes to keep in mind: Joseph Homan has pulled the car behind the wall, along with Mark Santana. They are both a couple of laps down.
And it looks like Brian Bennett is out as well. He's been in the pits for going on a minute and a half now, so the number 71 will take no further part in this race. Then there were 11. David Gargaro just holding on to the back of the field, as Daniel Stevens will line it up for the next restart. Adam Johnson has had great form in the number 27. So let's see what he can do to keep the 17 of Wayne Hutchison behind him as we go green once again. Hutchison is losing out massively down low.
Got to find a place to slot it back in. The difficulty for him is he tried to take a read on the track. The low line was working in the last LCQ. Now it's not. And have a look at the dust start to fly as all of that loam's been worn off. Now they're just making a ton of wheel spinning, and Gargaro has unfortunately got a lap down. Gargaro's at the fence again. Might be night over. Might be night done. Started the heats from a pole. He will not transfer. Will not qualify. Gargaro's day's done.
Such a shame for David Gargaro Jr. He will retire from the race from this point on, but he managed to get into the pits at such a speed that the caution did not come out. And now it's on for third place. Robbie Bradbury will try and line it up on Wayne Hutchison. The top two are battling hard as well, Stevens and Johnson. Adam Johnson's gotten some great pace here ever since the track started wearing off. But Hutchison, he's got the challenge of his life here to keep Robbie Bradbury behind.
And the difficulty now is the track is just about slick top to bottom. Where are you going to run? Where are you going to pivot the car? Somewhere you're going to find some loam to deal with, and there's so much hard pack that it is becoming hard packed up in the back. Bradbury tries to swing it back to the inside, doesn't find the grip. Suddenly Hutchison finds one lane worth of right rear grip to fire that thing back off of 1 and 2. Can he find where the groove is down in 3 and 4? Maintains the position for now. Past the start finish line, 5 more laps left to run.
And Daniel Stevens has gotten some consistency back. He's managed to build a 6/10 gap over Adam Johnson at the front of this field. So now Johnson has to try and search desperately for grip somewhere else. They are running so far up high, trying to straighten it out and go low on the exit and in the top two as Bradbury is through on Wayne Hutchison. Finally manages to get a solid gap here. Hutchison back down low, trying to search for something more, but it's not coming to him.
And have a look at the groove that Bradbury just entered 1 and 2 in that middle line. Did find a little bit of right rear to work with as he finds some clay in the middle. Now he's going to try and build that margin. We're running out of time. 2 more laps left to run. Will your 9 result in a transfer to the second split main, or are you going to make the big time?
Yeah, this is it. Coming across the line to take the white flag, Daniel Stevens. Adam Johnson may swing a slide job, or he might just settle for second here. He's starting to build some momentum up high, and he's not able to get close enough to Stevens for a move. So that's going to be your top 2 at the very end. Stevens wins last chance qualifier 2. Robbie Bradbury, with a magnificent drive, will pass Wayne Hutchison for third in the final dying laps. And they will transfer through to your feature. Hutchison will be devastated.
He will, but have a look all night long. The guys that have started up front, that have had the grip in qualifying, that could set the fast times when we had a tacky track, as soon as the track started to wear out, their cars went away from them. They are going to struggle in the feature. Dan Stevens transfers from Adam Johnson. Robbie Bradbury will take the final transfer spot, and the list of the drivers off to the second split main. Wayne Hutchison, Roger Shank drove through the field to 5th. Paulison from Colty, Joshua Mertz stays on the lead lap. Jackson just barely hangs onto it. Stuart Elder, the first of the retirements, 5 laps down. Outside the 10, Brian Bennett from Gargaro Jr., Mark Santana, and Joseph Homan's going to round out the field.
Yeah, such a shame for all of them there. Well, the warm-up is on at the moment. The drivers all have another chance to suss out what the wear of the track is like before the 100-lap feature here on SimSpeed TV. We're going to go to a quick break here as we get ready for one of the best events yet in the Majors season, the Dirt Derby at Eldora. Stay with us.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work, so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Somebody, anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser-scanned replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching SimSpeed TV, round 6 of the Majors series for 2024. This is the Pacific region. We are here at Eldora Speedway for the Dirt Derby, supporting Rise Above the Disorder. This is fantastic stuff that we've seen so far tonight. Reminder to lend your support to Rise Above the Disorder. Go to urrad.org and lend your support to a fantastic mental health charity. Well, guys, this is going to be a very fun feature. I'm Reese Gardner. Joining me in the comms box is Scott Rankin and Lynn Kinchelow, with Jay Kennedy on production behind the scenes. Start, of course, with you, Scott. Man, it's been a fun night so far, but we've got a hard slog coming up.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things I think nobody's really accounted for thus far, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, the track develops so much. The guys that were quick at the top of the show, they're not quick anymore. They're struggling. And one of the biggest things was, if you were in that first heat, that was actually a huge detriment, because if you didn't make it out of your heat, you went through your LCQ, that track transitioned so badly that you had to change your driving style. It's going to be a little bit more of the same. You're going to have to do some searching around, and it's not simple. Get ready, boys, because the creative guys probably going to do well here.
Indeed, Lynn. Considering as the checkered flag flies in warm-up, just how worn in the track still is. It was reset to 50% wear, but all the cars running over it are going to result in an incredibly tight field with how low grip it is.
And what's going to make it even tighter? It's 100 laps. And you only have the set of tires that you start this event on. It's going to be a very, very difficult event to try to maintain that right rear as we look at the grid.
Yep, Christian Challoner is going to start on the front here, pole position alongside the number 5 of Bruce Jones. Austin O'Neill in the 01 is going to start alongside Nathan Dowd on row 2, with Joshua Wolf and Ross Banfield sharing row 3. It's going to be Travis Walling and Justin Morton who start off from row 4. The top 10 will be rounded out by Justin Morton and, by Ryan Steele and Brian Barnes. Then we move to Bryce Roberts and Zach Goddard on row 6. Starting in 13th place, it will be Trevor Vavrovsky, with Jordan Slater starting alongside him on row 7. Daniel and Northway will start on row 8. Northway, of course, winning LCQ2 in style, with LCQ2 winner Dan Stevens is going to start alongside Nick Kuhn in 17th and 18th. Then we have Adam Johnson, Mark Miller, and Robbie Bradbury rounding out our 21 car field for the 100 lap A main here at Eldora. Scott, what are you expecting off the start?
Well, first and foremost, got to find a rhythm. I'm expecting we'll probably get a couple of really, really quick cautions right back together. Most cars we've had on track at any one time so far tonight.
What about you, Len? It's going to be tough here with the track being as low grip as it is, but finding a rhythm and finding fresh clay wherever you can get it will be important.
fresh clay, and more importantly, do not slide the tires. If you slide them too much here in this first 20 laps, I don't know if you're going to be around at lap 100 for this decider.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, they have to keep those 100 laps worth of racing on the same set of tires they started on. The tires are going to be screaming for mercy here, especially running over the hard pack. There isn't going to be much coolness in the racetrack when we're done with this. Green flag about to fly, and the Dirt Derby at Eldora is go here. Remember that caution laps count now here in the feature, so the drivers will have some form of mercy there as the number 6 is, the number 5 of Bruce Jones is going to find his way through here 3 wide for the lead of the race, side by side with Austin O'Neill. He's going to get the high line. Does he have enough in it there?
And the difficulty is, how hard do you push early on? Neil back to the inside, still looking to try and check the momentum of Bruce Jones. Once you get to the lead, you get to pick your line. Right now, 3 wide for 3rd through 5th spot as Banfield, Dowd, and Joshua, Challoner, Banfield and Dowd all go toe-to-toe. Actually, it's 3rd through 6th because Josh Wolf is in and amongst that one down on the low line. Everybody is just trying to find somewhere where there's a bit of tack and somewhere they can drive off the corner.
Yeah, Bruce Jones has executed this start very well. He is now right in the midst of the lead battle here. Austin O'Neill will be pressuring him. Challoner sticking up high here. He's trying to slide the tires as little as possible. He doesn't want to put too much energy into those tires. He's so versatile as Christian Challoner. He's skilled in whatever car he drives, and this is going to be one of the ultimate tests of his abilities, Lynn.
Just to compare what was happening in the LCQs, they were running 15-second flats in that last LCQ. They're currently running 16 seconds here and backing it up, trying to save the tires as much as possible. Think of it like a stage of the Tour de France of a bicycle race. You have this big peloton up at the front. They're just running kind of separate lines, not really wanting to get out too far ahead and burn up their equipment.
Yeah, it's really a matter of who can go the least slow rather than who can go the fastest. It's going to be a big tyre management game in this race, and it looks like the drivers up the top are the ones who are getting it done better at the moment, Scott. I did see that Austin O'Neill is switching down low here. I'm also seeing Nathan Dowd. I think he's stuck. Maybe he wants to go high, but he's just not able to. There's a 4-car train up there.
There is no space for him to feed into that outside lane. Critically, the bottom lane does actually have a little bit more tack on the underside. The difficulty right now, if you're running that bottom groove, you've got to make sure you keep the right rear out of the slick at this point in time. The guys up on the top who are keeping their right rear sitting on that berm, keeping it in the tack, they are sliding at the least, but lower speeds on the bottom. Lower speeds, less temperature, less heat, less wear potentially, if you can drive it right. Bryce Roberts just tags the wall.
Yeah, only just. He manages to keep himself from getting too much damage there. He's now with Trevor Vavrovsky side by side as they fight for 9th place. Vavrovsky back down low, and he's a bit too far into the slick. He's struggling for grip there, and it looks like Bryce is going to get the move done there. Sticking to the middle of the track there, just in between the 2 slick grooves that are starting to form. There's a little bit of fresher clay there, but it's hard to come by.
Yeah, and it's a middle and down arc kind of thing. You want to start a little bit higher, point it across the slick, and then pick it up and point it right and straight off the exit if you can find that line. Not the easiest thing to do. Bottom line starting to wear out. High line starting to come where that pace is being. Nathan Dowd was up at the pointy end of the field. Now slides his way back to 7th spot. Might think about transitioning to the high side. Number 9 car of Justin Morton starting to try and make a move on the bottom. Looking for the run to the inside of Ross Banfield. Banfield's going to hold momentum back to the high side. Battle on for P2 as well. Austin O'Neill's found Christian Challoner trying to get to his outside.
Yeah, Len, it's all about now getting into the rhythm. I think the majority of drivers have done that, and now they're tentatively putting the feelers out, trying to see what moves they can make to get forward.
And you saw earlier with Roberts getting into the wall right there. He got away with it at that particular point, but he's got a little bit of right rear damage on that body, and I think he's used up his one freebie on that vehicle. Look at Bruce Jones, in the lead, 1.5 second gap at this stage of the game. Battle for midfield right here. Stevens
It's for the last two places.
Oh, this is in the back of the field, but still, is action all over the track.
Yeah, no matter where you look, there's a battle going on, like here, between Justin Morton and Ross Banfield. Banfield in the number 777 there, with Morton trying down low. Bit less of a slide there from Banfield, as Travis Walling making the move there with Bryce Roberts holding on to 6th spot, but only just. Travis is trying to make up places here. He's dialing up the pace. He'll be using his tyres a little more here as he desperately tries to search a way through. They're feeding the right rear into the wall at every opportunity. They just need to make sure that they don't slip up too high.
The difficulty right now is how much throttle pressure you really use, and the big part about this battle pack now as well is that Vrovsky and I believe it's Bryce Roberts has now found his way back onto the bottom line of things. The pace is starting to come up, and the difficulty is once you start to get into a battle, all concerns about tires. How many times have we seen guys in a fuel save mode get in a battle, they lose it because they just want to make sure they maintain that track position?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a lot of track position up for grabs here, as now the number 90 trying his best here to find his way through the teammates running up top there. Banfield and Walling. Justin Morton will try his best to hold the low line here, and Bryce Roberts will follow him. They're moving up a little more now. They're not running as far down to the wall as they were. Let's see if that works out for them. Maybe a good middle ground can be reached.
Well, just caught the fence though, with Trevor Vavrovsky gets a big whack in the wall as they entered down into the 3 and 4 that time by. So Vavrovsky was starting to show some pace, now slides it around the outside, car in the fence. Zachary Goddard finds the barriers over in 3 and 4, tries to make the pit lane. He's not going to find that one. We're going to have a caution here, and one car's just gone the one lap down, which is at a 21st spot. So I think Johnson's now off the lead lap and will be stuck. So that battle for 6th still continuing on. Sorry, battle for 4th as they go hard out, and finally caution will fly.
Yeah, indeed. Number 29 there, Zach Goddard, slowing down and trying his best to get into the pits, but ultimately it didn't work. We are a quarter done with this feature. Such a shame for Zach Goddard. He started 12th. He would have been very, very good in the midfield there, but he was, I think, just it's just an unfortunate case of finding the wall up high, and there was nothing he could do after that. A little bit of contact from behind, actually. Christopher Daniel was coming through on him, but yeah, just looked to me, Lynn, like a case of he was trying to keep it high, but there just wasn't enough grip for his throttle pedal.
Yeah, and when you start beating the vehicle on the outside wall repeatedly, sometimes that damage ends up cumulative, and you end up with one of the suspension pieces being bent. But he has a spare car available if he wants to use it. And also, he did the right thing in staying up at the wall, because if he tried pulling down, he would have pulled into a 2-wide battle, which would have been 3-wide, and that could have been a very messy thing. The end result is we're going to burn a couple of laps under caution, and that benefits everybody, especially guys like Austin O'Neill, Bryce Roberts, cars that have been sliding around a little bit too much for my liking. They're going to get a chance to save up a little bit of equipment for this restart.
And saving a bit of fuel as well, Scott. We often see in dirt racing drivers underfilling the car because they're anticipating those cautions. With caution laps counting, there won't be as much time spent running under green flags, so drivers that start a little lighter might have an advantage.
There was a few comments that nobody expected it to go that far green in 25 laps was the duration of that run. They'll get back to green flag racing. Jones got a supreme launch. Austin O'Neill's got an opportunity to try and clear. And I tell you what, Challoner's found some speed off the top rope.
Oh, the caution's already back out, though. Looked like there was some drama down low for the lower positions. Zach Goddard, meanwhile, has gotten a fast repair and gotten back out. Just looks like Brian Barnes is the driver we should be taking a look at here. Off the start, there was a slide in front of him from the number 9 Justin Morton, and it was just a concertina, the accordion effect, sending Brian Barnes almost to a standstill there. That's what brought out the caution.
just a bad accordion noise. I don't. Is it accordion a horn technically? I don't know. But I digress. The forward car ended up getting the worst of it and got slowed down enough to where Barty decided he didn't like it. He threw the caution. Again, another opportunity to save equipment. Another opportunity to hang on to the tires a little bit more. Every lap that you run under caution is an opportunity to pick up a couple of tenths later on the track.
Yeah, for sure it is. Well, under this caution, we have an opportunity, I think, to see who are the big movers in this field. And the 21 and the 10, Bryce Roberts and Trevor Vavrovsky, are the drivers with the most positions gained in the field at the moment. Up 6 and 5 positions for Vavrovsky and Roberts. Scott, it looks like they have executed the first part of this race really well. Question is, have they burnt through too much of their tyres doing it?
Well, remember, I said Vavrovsky had a lot of pace late on in the heat as well. Also, just doing some research, just because Lynn asked, I can tell you the accordion is a woodwind instrument.
Wow, okay.
Fascinating.
I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry, wind instrument. Not woodwind, but it does have reeds, so woodwind. Yeah, there you go.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll leave that discussion behind for now. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit later, but we're back to green flag racing here at Eldora. Bruce Jones leading the way in the number 5. Since he got into the lead, he hasn't looked back, but Challoner's looking aggressive here on the restart. Travis Walling following him very close behind in the number 90. Have a look at Austin O'Neill. He's going to try and have a run here at the top 2. He's running middle low along with his teammate Bryce Roberts. Those two cars there having a lot of pace at hand.
Is it just me, or has the pace all of a sudden started to come up? I'm hearing a lot more engines revving a lot harder as they get to this back half of the first half of the race. So we're into the second quarter now. Challoner still trying to battle, and look at the run from Austin O'Neill. It seems the track has transitioned once more. Where there was grip, where there was bite for that outside corner of the car, no longer, and suddenly you gotta get to the bottom.
Yeah, indeed. Austin O'Neill is doing very well in the middle at the moment, but Challoner crucially gets a good run around the outside there. I think the run might be done there for Austin O'Neill. He'll have to slot back in behind and maybe switch up a little higher, but he's still working the middle. He's moving ever higher here as we get things going here. Morton and Roberts trading places for 7th spot, and Christopher Daniel, Nathan Dowd, and Ryan Steele all battling here over the last position in the top 10, 3 wide.
And this was all triggered by Bryce Roberts getting exceptionally sideways, had to really check up, and everyone behind had to lift out of the gas. Now they're going to try and feed back in. I've got concerns now for Bryce Roberts because there was a lot of sliding on the right rear on that car to the bottom of the racetrack. Josh Wolf tries to find a way to slot in, but in the meantime, back out front, Bruce Jones is supreme.
Robert Northway sliding into Ryan Steele. Both of them went 90 degrees to the preferred line, and that brought their next caution out. Caution number 3 of the Dirt Derby at Eldora, and this is how it all happened. Northway just flung it into turn 3 here and made contact with the dog bear number 12.
And there was somebody else, I don't know if it was Ryan Steele. I think it might have been Ryan Steele just saying, hey, come on, man, give me a little bit of space. We were 3 wide in that sort of a situation. I've just been used up. So, as always happens, I mean, tempers in the dirt community, they just, it's like a PB&J, right?
Yeah, indeed. It's just part of the ingredients here. That's the onboard view there, and Northway just went in way too hot. There wasn't enough grip in the racetrack for him to have a chance of getting a move done there. Just a consequence, Lynn, of the pack being as close as it is. Sometimes you can get a little distracted and forget that you're supposed to be conserving.
A lot of the conserving, but there was another incident that happened, I believe, after that one. I think the 19 of Nick Kuhn was trying to get to pit road and just happened to be run over by Bradbury. I think that was at the same time. Kuhn suffering a lot of damage in that incident. So a lot of guys getting mixed up in this ordeal. Yeah, you see the right front kind of blinking in and out, and then kablamo.
He was trying to get into the pits.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of like on the interstate. If you're a couple of lanes too far over for your exit, you try sweeping across, yeah, that back truck is not going to be able to stop on a dime.
Yeah, it's a big shame there for Nick Kuhn. Well, crucially, it's pointed out by our producer Jay Kennedy, the lead was down to a 10th before the caution as well. So Bruce Jones might be in a little bit of trouble here, and Austin O'Neill sees the opportunity here as the green flag flies again to start the 43rd lap of this race. Bruce Jones now sticking to the low line here. Challoner still working it up high. Let's see if that works out for him, as Bruce Jones is always very far down, as it's 3 wide for the lead of the race.
And all of a sudden, Austin O'Neill starts to find the grip in that middle groove. Now he's going to try and transition, rotate it back across the bottom, but that's allowed Challoner to go round the outside, gets his nose in front. O'Neill is going to try and check up and find the drive from the bottom of the racetrack right now. 3-way fight for the race lead. We're not to the halfway point. Challoner back to the top side. He's trying to find some momentum. He's trying to find some drive, and he leads clean for the first time tonight in the feature.
Yeah, once again, the man in the middle here, Bruce Jones, trying his best. He was in the lead, but now has lost it. The question is, how can he get it back? He's got a lot of pressure from behind. We've got to keep an eye out for Banfield and Vavrovsky running in 4th and 5th as well. Vavrovsky is up 8 places, and he has been charging forward in the first part of this race. It's a slide job from Bruce Jones, but there's lots of momentum lost there. He was just 2 sideways. So now Austin O'Neill fancies another chance at nabbing 2nd spot, potentially the lead, keeping it as straight as you can up high.
And they'll pass the question to you, Lynn. I've just got some concerns about a couple cars. Jones was one of them. Think he's burned that right rear a little bit too much?
Like going to the arcade, you have a certain number of quarters, and you start throwing them in the same machine, trying to get a high score. If you run out of quarters, you're running out of time.
Well, we're not even to the halfway point. Next lap, end of the next lap by, we will be halfway in terms of our feature. We've only had a couple of cautions to separate the first half of the race, and the top 8 are still racing relatively close together. Back to 9th and 10th is sort of the first break, and I can tell you, Josh Wolf now tries to swing it to the low line, tries to find some traction, some grip down there to try and see if he can find something for Travis Walling.
Yeah, this is a good battle here. Joshua Wolf running down low here, and now starting to lose out. He's just not keeping the momentum up down low. He's searching for that extra grip, but it's not happening. Move for 2nd, meanwhile. Austin O'Neill briefly getting past Bruce Jones, and the attempted cutback from the number 5 just doesn't work. So Austin O'Neill now to the lead of the feature here, and Challoner is skipping away.
And the big difficulty there is all slick all the way, just about the right way around the racetrack. There's a touch of hard pack right in the middle of 3 and 4 that you can find some grip. Northway's night might be done.
Oh dear. Well, Northway was running reasonably well in that race. He did have a part to play in a couple of incidents, but he was holding on to 11th spot very solidly as well. But it looks like he just came up too high on the exit of turn 2. And, oh, lordy, Zach Goddard isn't going to be happy with this either. Yeah, well, that's what happened there. Zach Goddard was, unfortunately, sorry, that's Christopher Daniel in the number 20. I think that's what brought out the caution there. Wow,
yeah, that
okay.
wheel falling off definitely did not help matters at all. That's a very rare sighting, at least in this event so far. The tire just completely separating, able to get the faster pair and able to get back out onto the track, but I don't think he beat the pace truck out. No, so I think he's a lap down. Take another look at this replay right here. Northway tags the wall ever so slightly and then rides it. Ever see it bouncing up and down, trying to do the pro truck thing, but that was last year's event. This is today, and both of those vehicles were not happy.
No, certainly not. That's a shame for Christopher Daniel. The right front destroyed, making contact with the concrete. Well, now we try and keep some semblance of stability going at the front of the field. We've got Brady Baldwin and Cameron Dance, two big figures in Australian dirt sim racing, feeding us some information behind the scenes as well, Scott. Brady says if they're going to the bottom, he'd say that they're saving the tyres. You'll use a lot more running the top all race. So drivers like Challoner might start falling off towards the end.
Well, I think Bruce Jones has just burned a lot of tyre. Like, that's the difficulty as they're going to get back onto the green flag. And I'll give you some more tips and updates because it matches with what I know from the asphalt side of the oval racing world as well. Jones is going to try and send it off the bottom rope. Challoner did not get a good getaway, and now Austin Hill gets checked up. We're going to be nose to tail all the way back to fourth spot on the field. Jones with the slider of the century. Can't quite get in. Can't hold the momentum of the top line, but he's fighting back down low.
And Challoner just didn't have any traction on that first lap, did he? It's 3 wide again for the lead as O'Neill goes down low and is going to get it done on the both of them for a couple of moments. He'll slide up there. Challoner goes down low. What a fight for the lead this has turned into. Bruce Jones still remaining second in all of this. Can he get it done on the inside? No, he doesn't have the traction down low. The car was just bogging down there. So now Austin O'Neill is going to lead a lap of this race. Does Challoner have any kind of response as we look at battles further on back? Banfield and Walling are fighting hard here to try and get into the top 3. Bruce Jones is struggling.
And I was just having a look at Challoner. One of the biggest things Challoner is struggling with at the front end of the field. Cannot get the initial rotation in the car. If he can do that, I think it's nearly as if he's got the right rear over the crest of the hill on the turn entry. Bruce Roberts, by the way, trying to keep his wheel straight and trying to keep that car in a position on the bottom of the racetrack. Something's happened to Vavrovsky on this restart. He's starting to struggle as well. Roberts is going to try and send it back to the bottom of this battle pack once again. Nearly got into Josh Wolf, but have a look at our race lead. Challoner still trying to run these guys down.
Yeah, and Ross Banfield is going hard on Travis Walling as well. Sorry, Lynn.
I was going to say, Vavrovsky got way sideways earlier in the restart and got swallowed up by the pack. Lucky it wasn't a caution, but obviously burnt a lot of the heat off inside of 40 to go.
Yep, and keeping an eye on most positions gained. Well, Vavrovsky was the most, but Jordan Slater and Daniel Stevens are now both up 6 places. They are the hardest chargers in the field at the moment, and they were 2 drivers that we didn't see much of in the first half of the race. I think they were focusing on saving their tyres for now when the track is at its slickest. The battle for the lead so close here as we check 2 battles here. Vavrovsky there in the number 10. He's in 10th place right now, going for 9th spot there on Bryce Roberts, but he gets spun around. Oh, he manages to get it back straight again, and we stay green here at Eldora. What a pack it is in the back half of the top 12.
Find your groove, find your line, find some sort of rhythm, and then you catch someone. You can't take the preferred line. You cannot take the preferred groove. Stevens is still trying to cut his way through the field. 6 spots on the bonus at this point in time. Ryan Steele to the inside. Sorry, my apologies. I didn't know it is Ryan Steele to the inside of the number 20 machine at this point in time. Christopher Daniel on the outside has fallen off the lead lap as it currently stands. It is tough. It is technical right throughout the field, and we are getting towards the final third of the race.
Yeah, this is where it really starts to come in, Len. This is where Christian Challoner will start to respond. Austin O'Neill would have been working his tyres hard to get that move done into the lead, but we're still not sure exactly how much rubber Challoner has left on that right rear. Is there any kind of response he can make?
And the big
I
key...
think he's still got to save. Sorry, Scott. I was just going to say, you're still going to have to save. Even right now, they're still running 16.8, 16.7. Far cry from the speeds that they were running in the heats. But if you save enough, you might be able to pop off one of those and make up a huge amount of ground, as I hear a car on the wall, the 948.
Robbie
Bradbury.
Yeah, he's going to slow down.
And the difficulty now reached the right front off of that car as well. So that will be Bradbury's night done and over. Bobrovsky still battling hard. I think he's just managed to take away P9 back and slot away ahead of Bryce Roberts. Roberts still trying to hook the bottom end of that track, but it looks like he has got a hugely hot right rear corner of that car. He's been picking up so much angle over the last 20 laps or so.
Yeah, oh man, a lot of trouble now setting in. The number 21 of Bryce Roberts is mega sideways through the corners, 2 sideways to gain any pace here. And now
Jones is in the fence.
Oh no, Bruce Jones, he's found the wall. Oh, good catch, Lynn. That's really unfortunate for him. He's going to bring it down low and into the pits, but can he get it turned in time? Oh, it's causing further drama. He slows down, he slows down. The yellow flag is out. He wasn't able to make it in.
I didn't see exactly what happened, but obviously something, he might have clipped the wall at the very end right here. Or did the tire pop? Nope, just didn't turn.
Yeah, that's a big shame there for the number 5 of Bruce Jones, who was running up the front and led the race for a good portion there. Oh, man. And that caused a bit of further drama there as Ryan Steele and Bryce Roberts made contact, having to negotiate their way past Bruce Jones. So then there were 2 at the front of the field, Austin O'Neill and Christian Challoner. Tell you what, Scott, this is giving a massive chance to the likes of Banfield and Warling. They could be looking at a big run here right at the end. We are only a quarter of the race left to go.
Yeah, so a couple bits and pieces. I said I was going to come back and talk about tires and how to protect those tires. What happens is when you get up in the high groove, you've got to run on a lot more throttle pressure. What is the one biggest thing that we know that puts heat into that right rear tire? Heat in iRacing translates to where? Throttle percentage. How can you save that? You can run yourself a tight set. What does that do? Transitions the weight onto the right front corner of the car. Doesn't allow the steering angle. If you see the big difference to where we're running in the heats, a lot of angle on these cars. So we're getting quite sideways. That's how you get the ultimate speed out of the car. The problem with that, you slide the tire a lot more. You've seen a big change. Now the track's slickened off. Honestly, I think it's just a hope and a pray at this point in time. The damage is done. You got to ride with it.
Yeah. Got to ride with it indeed. They form up double file once again to bring us into the final 23 laps of this race. Austin O'Neill is going to lead us away here on the power. Good traction from him. And easy does it for the number 9 of Justin Morton, who's going towards the inside. Seeing a car spinning in the back there. Looks like we're going to stay green for now, but big problems for Christopher Daniel in the number 20. It looks like the suspension's gone on that.
And it was Ryan Steele who got a little bit of contact as they got back underway. Now he's going to try and resurrect everything that he possibly can. Dowd has done nothing but slip back as his feature's gone on the 20 machine, trying to make it into the lane. Does get down low, is massively away from the cars. We stay green as it currently stands. Challoner now finds the barrier. We've got 20 left to go.
It's so greasy up the top at the moment. Christian Challoner struggling to keep up with Austin O'Neill, who's worked his tyres well throughout this race so far. Keep an eye out on the number 20 on the replay down on the bottom. There was a check-up, and then unfortunately he just ran right into the number 12 of Ryan Steele. And so he is now out of this race for the time being. Oh no, that's Trevor Vavrovsky that's found the wall. The Evolve car is going to try and cut down low, but there's no response from the steering. We might get another caution here with 19 laps on the clock.
He might get out. He got the toe. He got the toe. We're going to stay clean. Green with 19 laps left to run. And it's going to be your race leader, Austin O'Neill, leads us away. He's starting to build just a little bit of margin. Challoner took some time out of him on that last lap. It was just about even Stevens. 9 thousandths of a second between their last 2 lap times. Has Christian Challoner got enough for him? Is he thinking points night?
Yeah, and is Ross Banfield going to have a run in these last 16 laps that they're about to come up to? Challoner is firing it into the corners now. He's starting to dial up the aggression. He wants to try and unsettle Austin O'Neill, Len. This is going to be an intense battle.
You have the top 2 championship contenders running second and third. It pays 250 points to win this race. Look at the replay down low. Bobrovsky getting messed up right there. Cuts down a tire. It pays 225 points to run second and 213 to run third. Obviously, Banfield is going to want to try to get around Challenger here, try to take a little bit out of this points lead. At the same time, Challenger is going to want to get this win because that's a big point swing. Something's gone wrong.
Yeah, that's really pushing there for Ross Banfield. He's not able to get the car rotated initially. And have a look at how hard Challenger's running the top there. It looked like he lost a lot of pace up top there.
I'm starting to wonder whether or not Challenger might have burned off that right rear. He is really, really struggling, and it's only just started to happen in the last couple of laps. Did get the fence about 2 to go. Caution's gonna fly. We're gonna rack him, we're gonna stack him, and I'm starting to get the feeling that Austin O'Neill is sitting pretty, and Challenger might be on the limits of what his tires can do.
Yeah, well, he's gotten some reprieve now with a few laps left to cool the tyre back down, but it's not going to mean much if it's worn down there. Not too sure exactly what brought the caution out, but yeah. We'll try and sort that out for you all and see exactly what caused it. But yeah, I think honestly, Lynn, it's advantage Austin O'Neill right now. He managed to get into the lead with some great pace. He was saving his tires, and now he is in the box seat to win the race.
As we take a look at the replay right here, I'm guessing this is the 948 trying to come out of the pits. Just a little too timid, and yeah, Barty does not like that either. The speed difference is too much. The 948 brings out a caution, and we get inside of 10 laps to go. Potentially going to be a single file restart, I believe, right here. So, obviously, advantage O'Neill doing a really good job hanging on to this equipment right here, and also maintaining the clean air. But what's going to happen on this restart with another opportunity to dive down low, maybe take a position here?
Yeah, indeed. I think we're going to be seeing some big sliders happen in the last few laps here, but you want to save your tyres for that final run. And Challenger potentially has been working his tyres too hard over the course of this race. The teammates Ross Banfield and Travis Walling right there to take advantage, and Justin Morton is right there too. Don't count out Jordan Slater and Daniel Stevens either. They're up 8 and 10 positions respectively. It's been the run of the race from Slater and Stevens as we go double file again with 10 laps to go, coming up to 9. Austin O'Neill takes the green flag. Challenger is right with him, cutting down low initially. Need to try and keep it out of the wall and concentrate on your exits. Banfield already piling the pressure on Challenger. He's going to go for the move. Will the slider end up working? Challenger's going to cut back. They'll be side by side across the line. And it looks like Banfield has got it done. Challenger really struggling now. He might stand to lose a position to Morton.
Yeah, now he's really starting to struggle. We were just starting to talk tyre wear with Christian Challenger. Have a look at Walling starting to dive into the background. They're 3 wide just in the background of that shot as well. Everyone's gone nuts. There's under 10 laps left to run. If you want a spot, time to go get it. Walling trying to slide down the track. Morton slots himself into 4th.
Brilliant job from Ross Banfield to get the move done there, and Morton's going to get it done on Challenger here. Bit more traction for the number 9. He's got it.
Well, he hasn't got it yet. Now he's going to slide to the top of the racetrack, tries to take it away. Look at Slater and Walling. They're going to go door to door as they come off on 1 and 2. But they cross the line. 5 more laps. Austin O'Neill looks like he's going to be a Majors champion in the Dirt Derby, but it's not done for 4th on back.
Challenger is falling apart. He gets into the back. Daniel Stevens makes contact with him. Challenger now down to 8th position. He was in 2nd place on the restart. He has lost it, and it looks like he's not going to be able to get it back. Dan Stevens gets into the top 5 here. Can he hold on for these last 4 laps? Ross Banfield and the caution's out. It's over. And that is Robbie Bradbury that spun around up high. Caution laps count, and it looks like we won't be able to get this going again in time. We might have to confirm Austin O'Neill as our winner.
And while we wait...
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, this is up to you, Lynn. You've got the books. You need to know. You're the one in charge here.
From the looks of things, I do not believe green-white checkers are turned on for this event, but that last little run, that was a 80-point swing. Ouch. Travis Warling lost a spoiler on that exchange right there. A little bit of a scratch to the UDOT's paint. That is an 80-point swing that we saw between Challenger and Banfield right there. And it's also going to be a huge points night for Austin O'Neill, leading the Sportsman Silver division right here. That's a big points haul, 250 points coming his way, potentially, if this race does not get back going.
Well, that's the question. We are on the 99th lap, and the lights are still on the pace car. So, yeah, we're going to finish this race under caution, it looks like, Scott. Bit of an anticlimax to end the race, but that takes nothing away from the action that we've seen.
No, how good were that final 10 laps or so worth of racing as well? Slide jumps in everywhere. Everyone was getting aggressive. There's a couple guys that'll be extremely happy that the cautions come out. Challener's one of them because he was just dead in the water. He had nothing left to give and he was only going backwards. Travis Warling just picked up damage. He's going to get away with that one in a 6th spot. What a phenomenal dirt derby. That was brilliant.
It certainly was. We'll confirm the results here now as the 0-1 of Austin O'Neill crosses the line, and he is the winner of the Dirt Derby at Eldora. And off go the fireworks. What a celebration it's going to be for Austin O'Neill. That, as you said, Scott, was a phenomenal drive.
Oh, you said the fireworks are going off now. They went off about 10 laps ago when they all started to go after it. Christian Challoner started to slide through the field. Difficult night at the office. The loam, the pack, the tyre wear, the challenge of the changing conditions throughout the heats. You had to be clean. You had to be consistent. Remember how we talked at the top of the show? You've got to be a driver capable of managing a race in a lot of different conditions. Well, that just about had it all.
Yeah, just about, Lynn. Oh, what a strategic race that was from O'Neill and Banfield and Morton as well. They were hanging back early on, but they were saving their tyres for the end.
And the dirt being the great equalizer. You had a former iRacing Oval world champion driver in Christian Challener having to fight for his life against drivers in the Sportsman division. The dirt has brought everything together, and it's a bit of a wild card. Austin O'Neill comes out with a great points haul of this event.
Yeah, indeed he does. He's going to be absolutely stoked about that, especially as the season goes on. He can use that as a buffer against the drivers that he's racing against in the standings. Well, Austin O'Neill will take his place here in Victory Lane at Eldora Speedway. And absolutely magnificent run indeed. I gotta say, the positions gained by Jordan Slater and Daniel Stevens as well. They finished 4th and 5th behind O'Neill, Banfield, and Morton. Slater up 10 spots, Stevens up 12. They are also options for the star drivers of the day. Travis Warling ultimately finishing in 6th ahead of Ryan Steele. Challoner, oh man, he was in the top 3 all race long, but in the space of just a couple of laps, he fell to 8th spot. Nathan Dowd and Bryce Roberts will round out our top 10, and Joshua Wolf, it looks like, is going to be our last finisher on the lead lap in position 11. Ryan Barnes ultimately finishing in 12th spot ahead of Bruce Jones, Adam Johnson, Roger Shank, Trevor Vavrovsky, Robert Northway, Christopher Daniel, David Gargaro, and Stephen Verweyen. Actually, my apologies. I'm looking at the wrong timing screen there. It seems like Adam Johnson, one of the last drivers to actually get a proper checkered flag there. Kuhn, Vavrovsky, Northway, Daniel, Bradbury, and Goddard. Not having the best of races there, as there was a real shame for Mark Miller. He had some fantastic pace in the heats and in the last chance qualifiers, but ultimately, halfway through the race, he was out. I actually think, Scott, that's a pretty good stat. It took until almost halfway in the race for us to see our first retirement.
Yeah, have a look at how much drama we had in the LCQ just before we went into that one as well. Very, very difficult night at the office. I think one of the the key things. You mentioned for Slater and Stevens, they gained a bunch of positions, but have a look at all the drama that happened in the early stages and the middle phases of that race. That was not easy to protect the car. To not only protect the car and then start to make progress, they were very quick in the back half of that race. Clearly switched on early and went, we've really got to protect that right rear tire. Worked for them, but staying clean and then making your way progressively through that pack was not easy tonight. So not only did they have pace at the right elements, they kept the car alive. So good from those guys.
Yeah, so good indeed. Dan Stevens reported that he had 11% tread remaining on his right rear. I'm sure it would be about the same, if not a little more, for Austin O'Neill, who joins us from the cockpit of the 01. Brilliant drive from you, Austin, managing to start third, and you kept yourself in the fight all race long, but it was obvious to us from very early on you were saving those tires for the end of the race.
Yeah, I knew coming into tonight that it was going to be a hard race for tire wear, and I needed to save for the majority of the race, so I had a shot at the end, and I had a pretty good qualifying lap, and I was able to start the first couple rows, and with track rework, I just kind of ran in a clean part of the track for as long as I could, and just not spin the tires and keep everything kind of under me, and just save as long as I could, and I kind of knew if I was in a good spot, at least in the top 5 by 25 or so to go, I was going to have a shot, and my strategy kind of worked out for me.
Just talk to us a little bit about the lines that were forming around the circuit here. You were one of the drivers who was able to change things up every so often, run the high line when you needed to, run the low line when you needed to. What were you searching for, and was it dependent on how close you were to the cars in front of you?
It was just pretty much where my car was working the best at. I had a really good setup under myself, and I was good on the top and I was good on the bottom, whether it was wet or if it was slick. So the first part of the race, I was just trying to run in the wetter dirt and kind of keep my tires cool and not heat them up and burn them off. And then once we got 30 or so laps in, it got slick, and at that point it was just with these small motors compared to the supers, you needed a momentum and keep them wound up, and at that point I knew I needed to go to the top, and I had a pretty good gear, like I said, set up under me. I was running like half throttle the entire race. One time I got wide open was when I slid for the lead. At that point I was just controlling the pace and keeping it going, but yeah, it was just kind of seeing where the car worked the best at, and just trying to find where the moisture was.
We're staying on the oval side of things, but going to tarmac for the next round of the Majors Series. It's going to be the Rock and Roll 400 at Richmond in the NASCAR Gen 4s. Obviously, another tight circuit at Richmond, so maybe the tire saving here is going to serve a nice purpose preparing for that one.
Yeah, it was great practice. I'm not very good at Richmond. It's not one of my favorite tracks, and I've never ran the Gen 4 car, so I'm in for an interesting race. But yeah, I definitely think the tire saving and just being smooth and smart for long races like this will definitely pay off in the future.
Indeed. Well, congratulations on taking the World 100 Dirt Derby at Eldora, Austin. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to thank all my teammates, Fractal Velocities Racing and Sebastian, for letting me come and be a part of their team. Mark, Kevin, and Bryce for all their hard work throughout this week for testing while I was absent. But we have a pretty good season going on so far. With our championship lead in both divisions. So it was a good night for us, and we look forward to finishing off the season.
Well, Austin O'Neill will leave us now and enjoy the spoils of victory here at Eldora Speedway. In second place in the feature here, the 777 of Ross Banfield joins us now. Scott Rankin's had a chance to catch up with him and talk to him about a fantastic drive to P2.
Ross, difficult night at the office very, very early on. It was just about making sure that you had a car, you had something to work with at the back end of that race. Just finished talking to Austin about trying to look after those tires, trying to keep him down the cooler dirt. Talk us through your early phases of that race.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. So I kind of knew how this would go from just the majors practice races. They're 40-lap sprints. And so I knew once the track got slicked off, the only way you're passing is if someone makes a mistake. So basically, with the cautions and the laps, counting, I was mentally prepared to just not push and just hold. Because if you push really, really hard and let's say you get like a 2-second lead, but you burn the tires, well, the next time a caution comes out, you just lost that 2-second lead. So I was just, and mentally I was thinking like back-to-back cautions when they come out, and when would be the, just go for it. And I think for me it was lap 70 where I just said, we're just gonna go full send. And then I saw Christian hit the wall a little bit, so I knew he was struggling right before the final caution or second to final caution came out. And then I knew I could catch him at the start. And so then I just pulled that slide job, and I honestly only had one of those in me because, as you saw, I struggled to get it back up to the high line. It was a bit of a struggle bus to do that one. And then he couldn't really respond to that because the track was so slick. You need that forward momentum.
In terms of making your way throughout the night, I mean, we said tonight, the great equalizer, really, in terms of what this championship's going to look like. And that was about as tough as I think this season of majors is going to get.
Yeah, honestly, I wish more races were like that, in and out. I like it. I don't like the 4 or 5 hour like Indy races. So I'm more of a short-term person. I just like sprint races, F1 races, or anything that's 2 hours or less. I think anything past that, my mental focus starts going out the window.
In terms of the championship now, you've actually pulled a significant amount of points back out of Challenger as you finish down in 8th. I mean, the eyes have got to be forward. You've got to start thinking points. You've got to start thinking towards the back end. Do you think you've got anything to really shake him up in the back half of this season?
Road courses is really all I have, and Christian's good there too. So it's going to be tight. Oval courses is just don't lose the gain I just got. And unfortunately, I believe I already used my drop for Daytona because I didn't make top split, unfortunately, due to the duels. So it's more just keep it clean, and I'm just going to try on the road courses just to finish ahead of him. That's about it.
Mate, and finally, the floor is all yours to give the thank yous and shout outs that you'd like to hand out.
Yeah, just big thanks to the UDocs guys. Always fun hanging out with them. We were just joking about how we're the no drama llama team. We just kind of arrive and drive. So it's a really good time. We're just all chatting, and just makes the races go by a lot faster when you, during the yellows, just have someone to chat with. So big shout out to them, and shout out to you guys for always putting on a good show.
Mate, congratulations on another second place result here tonight. Big, strong points tonight, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks.
Brilliant stuff from Ross Banfield here tonight. And finally, in third place, it was Justin Morton in the number 9. A fantastic finish for him. Lynn Kinchelo's had a chance to catch up with him and talk about his race.
Justin, you managed to make it to P3 after starting up in the 8th. Talk us through. Everybody's been talking about how much saving that we had to do. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, there was definitely some saving in there. I wouldn't say I was saving hard. I was just trying to drive good, in a way that doesn't punish your wheel spin. That's what really kills the tires in these, is the wheel spin, which also in turn is slow driving. So I don't know. I just feel like driving better seemed to be the way to go, and not wheel spinning. And Ross said he had better tire wear than me, but I feel like I was gaining there right at the end before that last caution once I got clear of I think it was Travis. So I was a little bummed to see it end a little bit early.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we were all bummed because that was shaping up to be a very exciting finish, regardless of anything. Anything in particular stood out from you in transferring from the heat over to the feature?
It was like 2 different races. The track was it's just completely different state. In qualifying, I kind of got caught out because in practice the track was just totally torn up from 2 hours of driving on it. Going to qualifying, I was super tight on my run, and thankfully managed to get up to 8 total on the cue board. It was just overall tricky night, just changing conditions all the time.
For sure. Thinking ahead, next round in a couple of weeks is going to be up in Richmond for the 400 lapper. Any thoughts on what we might see with the Gen 4 stock car?
the Gen 4 stock car is probably one of my favorite cars on iRacing. I really enjoy doing the short track stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. It should be some really good racing, and we'll see tire saving there too to have long run pace.
Excellent. Last but not least, anybody you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the guys on Fusion for coming together. I know a lot of them have a lot of trouble on the dirt. They put in the work to really work on it. Robbie was really excited to make it into the feature there, racing in from, I think that was the second LCQ. Thank you guys for doing the broadcasting, and thanks to all the admins who run this league. We might have given them a little crap today about a little change in the format, but you know, they have the best interests in the league and their decisions, and I really enjoy racing here.
Thank you for your time. That is Justin Morton finishing third in the World 100 this evening. Reese Gardner, turning it back over to you.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what a night of racing that was. What a morning of racing it was for us down here in Australia. Of course, the next round of the majors is going to be the Rock and Roll 400 at Richmond Raceway in the Gen 4 Cup. We are going to be bringing in some early 2000s NASCAR vibes with this one. Really looking forward to it. You'll be able to catch it on Sunday, the 25th of August at 10:45 Australian Eastern. If you're in the US, it's Saturday evening Eastern time. Make sure that you mark that date in your calendar and join us for that here on SimSpeed TV. Whether you come from YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Kick, we really appreciate you viewing, and hope you enjoyed the show. We certainly did up here in the comms box. I'm Reese Gardner, Lynn Kinchelow and Scott Rankin with me in the commentary booth with Jake Kennedy pressing all the buttons behind the scenes. Congratulations once again to Austin O'Neill for taking the World 100 Dirt Derby at Eldora Speedway. We'll see you next time.